Oh, sorry. We are live.
Okay, great. Thank you. Good morning, everybody. I would like to call the meeting to order and acknowledge that we are in Treaty 1 territory, the home and traditional lands of the Anishinaabe, Ojibwe, Innu Cree, and Dakota peoples, and in the national homeland of the Red River Métis. Our drinking water comes from Shoal Lake 40 First Nation in Treaty 3 territory. My name is Marla Billinghurst. I will be chairing the meeting this morning. With me on the panel are Mr. Ian Mann and Mr. Brent McIntyre. The assessor this morning is Mr. Jonathan Spacek, and our administrative personnel are Ms. Belen Rojo and Ms. Nicole Carnegie. To the Zoom participants of the hearing, please note you are placed in the waiting room until your property is called upon. When it is your turn, you will be admitted into the meeting. Kindly follow along on the City of Winnipeg's Board of Revision YouTube channel for the hearing process. Once the host admits you into the hearing, please close or mute your YouTube player. You will then be permitted to speak with respect to your property. Once your hearing has concluded, you may leave the meeting. We will be hearing applications for revision of the assessment roll in accordance with the Municipal Assessment Act. The matters for which revision is requested have been described in each application, and we will limit discussions to those matters. The statements that are made at this hearing are sworn testimony, and anyone speaking to the matters must be sworn in. Be advised that comparisons of assessments of properties are not considered evidence of market value by the Board of Revision. The Board of Revision is appointed annually by Council and is independent of it and the City Administration. It makes its decisions on the basis of the evidence provided at this hearing and issues a written order that will be mailed to all parties as soon as possible. Please note that the board's decisions with respect to an application may be appealed to the Manitoba Municipal Board if the matter pertains to assessed value or classification, or to the Court of King's Bench if the matter pertains to the application of exemptions from taxation. Should you wish to appeal, information on how to do so will be included with the board's order. With respect to the hearing process, I will confirm the points of appeal with your property to be addressed with each applicant following the swearing in. We will then have the assessor's testimony, followed by questions that the applicant may have, and then the applicant's testimony followed by questions. Each side will have an opportunity to summarize if they wish. Once all of the evidence about an application has been brought forward, the applicant may leave. The process will repeat for each item on the docket today. The session will close after all the applications have been heard, and the board will deliberate in private and make its decisions. You will receive the board's decision by registered mail as soon as possible. As information, all public hearings are live streamed, recorded, and will be part of the public record. We will be hearing items 1 through 8 on our docket today. Ms. Carnegie, please affirm the assessor's and the applicant's testimony. Thank you.
Good morning. Mr. Assessor, please state your full name.
Jonathan Spacek.
Do you affirm that the evidence you're about to give at this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do, yes.
Thank you. Mr. Applicant, Mr. Neufeld. Hi, please state your full name.
Rocky Neufeld.
Do you affirm that the evidence you're about to give at this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Thank you. Hey, Mr. Mercury, please state your full name.
James Mercury.
Do you affirm that the evidence you're about to give at this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. The first matter on the docket this morning is 3700 Portage Avenue. Mr. Spacek, please proceed when you are ready.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We are looking at file number 22-3383, roll number 0720861180, located at 3700 Portage Avenue, and we do have a preliminary issue with this property.
Okay, please go ahead.
If you look at the bottom of page 1, we did not receive an income and expense mailer for this property, and when that happens, we request non-compliance. You can see at the bottom, you're requesting non-compliance due to not receiving that income and expense mailer. If you turn to my page 11 to begin, we have a certified mailer we sent out June 9th, 2021. This is the second mailer that gets sent out after we do not receive the first one back that is not tracked. You can see at the top left of that mailer, there is a tracking number LP 657134933CA. And this was sent to the owner, 7291401 Manitoba Limited at 3700 Portage. That is the owner we have on file. And if you go up a page to page 10, you can see that tracking information. We have the same tracking number at the top left of the page. And then again, June 15th at 4:58 Winnipeg, the package was delivered. And then the one thing that has changed from when I usually present these or have presented in history is during COVID, there was no signatures required. So there's not an actual signature required, but this is the last note we have of this file being delivered to that property. And that's as far as it goes as it was during the time of COVID. So at that time, that's how it was done. And, that is pretty just sticking to the facts of what I'm asking for compliance there. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Mercury, I don't know who's speaking.
Yeah, I just have a few questions for the assessment department. So just looking back at your brief, page 10 in particular, you see the tracking sheet there. It appears that there was no one to accept the package initially, and then there was a second attempt. Again, no one available to receive it. It was then left at the post office, as I understand it. And all we have in your material is that it was delivered. You're not able to tell us today who may have picked up this mail?
No, I cannot confirm.
Okay, so if you can't tell us that, how would we know that it was an authorized agent of the owner to receive this mailer?
I can't confirm who picked that up exactly.
Right. And so that's why typically the city would request a signature or some kind of verification of the individual who receives the package.
Yeah, it's definitely just a stronger case when you have signature. But again, Canada Post had different rules at that time, so no signature was able to be provided. Just as far as I have is the location. That location is the same as the owner, and I can't confirm the exact person who picked it up.
And again, the mailer itself, which is found at page 11, is addressed to the numbered company, but to nobody's attention in particular. Is that right?
Just the owner we have on file, and the location we use, and we send all the other, like, this is the same as the tax bill, and in this case, the mailers, the notices, all that.
Right. Okay. Those are my only questions for the assessor, and we have some information to present.
We will get to that in a minute. I'll just finish questions from the board, please. Thank you. Mr. Mann, do you have any questions?
No, I don't. Thank you.
Mr. McIntyre?
I have no questions. Thank you.
Okay, nor do I. All right, Mr. Mercury, please go ahead with your presentation.
Yes, thank you. So we've, as the board may be aware, we've had a number of these deferral order requests come before the board revision over the last couple of months in particular, and the board has been fairly consistent in refusing to order a deferral orders when there is no signature or proof of receipt linking that individual to the ownership group. Certainly, at least with respect to the matters that I have been involved with Mr. Neufeld. And we've provided in our rebuttal material, and I don't know if that's been distributed as of yet, but because we're referencing it, I do think it's appropriate to ensure that everyone has that at this time.
I do not see it here. Sorry, I can't really hear you. Could you speak up, please?
Hi, sorry, we just uploaded that to OneDrive, so you should be able to see it now.
Okay, thank you. I will refresh and see if it's there.
What is the heading or the title? I haven't got it.
There's 4 different documents.
Oh, okay, there they are.
And would I be able to get the copy emailed, please?
I do not have them yet. Oh, there we go. Okay, I have them now. Mr. Spacek, please let us know when you receive them.
I just received it. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Is everyone ready to proceed then? Okay, I'll take the silence as a yes.
Okay, so I will try to move through this fairly quickly because I expect.
Which
Sorry.
document?
Yes, so there are a couple of, at least 2 municipal board orders that we provided. And I expect the panel will be certainly familiar with, or should be familiar with the first one, Mo Investments. I think it's titled Mo Investments on the PDF document. Just very briefly, this was a request for a deferral penalty in a case where the evidence was clear that the package, the mailer, INE mailer, actually was delivered to the site in particular. However, it was received by the tenant, not the owner. And there was no evidence that it had actually been brought to the attention of the owner. And the municipal board in that case made it clear that simply sending it to the address for service does not prove receipt by the owner. And the deferral order was refused in that particular case. This was a decision which was intended to give guidance on future cases. It was decided a few years ago. So in this case, of course, we do have evidence that, at least some evidence, that it was delivered to somebody, not at the site, but perhaps picked up by someone at the mailbox, but we don't know who. And we certainly don't know if they were the authorized agent of the owner, particularly with respect to these INE mailers. The second order that I've included here is a case called Russell Inns. That's a very recent municipal board order, similar circumstances where this is the provincial municipal assessor had sent out. There was no dispute that they had sent out an INE request to the owner, but there was no evidence that it had actually been received by the owner of the operation at that time. And essentially what the board concluded was just simply evidence of sending the request is not evidence of receipt by the authorized representative, and the deferral order was refused. I believe Mr. Neufeld included copies of several other board orders, border revision orders from this cycle, where essentially, and we won't go through all of them, but I think we've highlighted if you just look at the decisions, essentially those are cases where we did not have signatures, or it was unclear as to who actually may have received or had authority to receive the document, as the assessor was not in a position to advise the deferral orders were rejected. We do keep in mind, of course, these mailers were sent out during COVID. So who was actually in the office, who was working at the time, is very much a question mark. I think Mr. Neufeld had included some excerpts of the public health orders relating to closures and restrictions during that time, particularly April through June of 2021. So there were still restrictions certainly in place at that time. We do appreciate that the Canada Post had perhaps different rules and regulations regarding signatures, but that does not change the burden of proof on the assessor to prove receipt, and that's been acknowledged by several panels of this Board of Revision over the past couple of months, as I mentioned. In my submission, the evidence here is it's clear that the assessor has not proven receipt, and under the Municipal Assessment Act, the owner has 21 days from the date of receipt of an INE to respond, and only under those circumstances would a deferral order be possible. I do note that in the Municipal Assessment Act, there have been recent amendments to the Act, which would take effect as of 2022. That is, documents that are mailed out by the relating to the assessment are deemed to be received 3 days after mailing, but that is an amendment that was made after the date in question here, which was 2021. So going forward, the City Assessment Department, I expect, will have will certainly have a lesser burden in terms of showing proof of receipt, given the amendments to the legislation. But as I said at the time that these mailers were sent in 2021, the existing law continues to apply. And for those reasons, the deferral order should not be granted. I may have skipped over a couple of documents that Mr. Neufeld provided, but Mr. Neufeld, is there anything else that you wish to comment on, or documentation that you provided that I've missed?
I didn't note anything.
Okay. I think you have our submission, Madam Chair, and we're certainly open to any questions that the assessor may have. Or
Yes, sorry, there was one. I submitted a brief on the owner's other property on Waverly, and there was no penalty request on this site. So it's certainly not a question of the owner's lack of intent once he actually receives the mailer, he responds. That was address was 400-1717 Waverly.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Spacek, do you have any questions for the applicants?
I have no questions. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mann.
No questions, thank you.
Mr. McIntyre?
No questions, thank you.
Okay, thank you. I have no questions either. So we will take a short recess to discuss this. Thank you.
Madam Chair, we are live.
Thank you very much. All right, the board has discussed the request for non-cooperation, and we are denying the request for non-cooperation pursuant to section 53(3)(b). So Mr. Spacek, please proceed with your presentation.
Thank you very much. We are looking at file number 223383. We have roll number 0708611800. The address is 3700 Portage Avenue. We have a 2023 value of $5,327,000 with the reference date of April 1st, 2021. If we turn to page 2, you'll see we're looking at a complete auto dealership. This is a Hyundai dealership on Portage. You'll see it is just east of the perimeter, the perimeter highway on Portage Avenue in the corner of Buchanan and Portage. If we turn to page 4, you will see we have a standard workup for all of our, it'll be very similar for all of our dealerships we're looking at today. We have 29,062 square feet at $13.43. We have our standard parameters for these VCBs a cycle: 2% vacancy loss, 3% expenses, $6 shortfall, and a 6.9% capitalization. This gives us that total value of $5,327,000. You'll notice on page 5, I've included a list of comparables. One thing to note, and again, I'll keep this quick as I know we've all seen dealerships before, but there are no net rents for these complete dealerships. They're all owner occupied all across the city. And so what we put together is just a list of larger retail big box stores known as retail warehouses. So these are larger retail buildings on, busier streets like Portage, St. James, Nairn, Regent, Kenniston, things like those, and in areas like those. And you'll see we put together 28 comparables. These have, let me turn my page here. So for example, we're looking at 3,700 Portage today. If you look at comparable number 18 on my list, we have 3,673 Portage Avenue. So just to give you a comparison about a retail, a larger retail big box store, this is a Sport Check across the street. It was built in 2013. It's 2014 lease signed for 10 years, 20,000 square feet, so smaller than their subject property at 1975 a square foot. And again, we have just a wide range of these, and I'll just try to pick one or two out for if we're changing the location of the dealerships today, but this is the same list you'll see throughout the day. Again, not saying it's exactly a dealership, just this is the closest thing, in my opinion, to net rents to have to somewhat of a similar building in a similar location, as those net rents for the dealership are not. So pretty straightforward. Page 7, we have our capitalization rates, but again, with these dealerships, they're not selling, and we don't have any direct capitalization rates ranges. But you will notice, again, just as an example, our retail ones halfway down our page 7 in the chart. You have regional and power center. These are, again, larger retail centers on main strips, and for our city of Winnipeg caps, they're between 6.35 and 6.95 for the power centers, and then regional is between 6.1 and 7.2. Our subject property is at 6.9%. And we did not receive a mailer for this one, so again, it would be an owner-occupied mailer with some expense information. If we did, it doesn't tell us much, but that is my presentation today. If you have any questions, please let me know. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Do the applicants have any questions?
Yes, we do. Firstly, when you say complete auto dealer, what does the word complete mean?
It's just the title we have for a full dealership. Any big building that sells cars as its main function, we have it under our big dealership.
Oh, well, what I'm wondering is that complete means having all facets, and in the auto world, there's sales, service, auto body. Is that inferring any of those factors?
I mean, it could if it has all those, that's great. But again, if it's selling cars and it's a large dealership type building, it's probably going to be under our BCD dealership.
Okay. So the label really it's a label, not necessarily an accurate description. I was just curious about it because this one has a body shop in it, but others don't. And but that's not part of your description, and that's just a name, I take it.
I mean, whether it has that auto body or not, if it's selling cars as its main purpose, I'll bet you it's going to have BC as its label as opposed to something else.
On your page 3, there you brought up 3 sales. Did you investigate any of these sales?
Not in depth, just this is what was reported to Land Titles for sales. So on March 2nd, 2017, there was a reported sale for $5,250,000. That's what was sent into Land Titles. That's what is popped up, but we did not receive a sailor's questionnaire for me to look more in depth.
Okay, no sort of analysis as to why the prices, reported sale prices are so dramatically different.
The 10 years apart, like the 2007 to the 2017.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, there's no mailer sent in for me to,
okay.
In-depth information. This is just what was reported to Land Titles as a sworn value and consideration.
And page 4, this is all model generated?
All model generated, correct.
Okay. And what went in to populate the model then for the dealerships, you mentioned that there were no transactions that you were aware of. So how would you populate a VCD without data?
Well, again, similar types of properties. I am not a modeler or input things into the model, so I can't give you an exact answer. I can just say similar types of buildings, net rents of larger sized buildings. You know, my guess would be some sort of retail warehouse combined with vehicle service garages are looked at. You know, things with similar purposes, but I can't tell you.
The rent comparables, page 5. These are put together after the model, I take it, and I
Yeah, this is
yeah. You may not have put these together, but I guess these are what you're presenting this year for all the auto dealers. Is that correct?
Yeah, this is what very similar to our last two cycles. What I've presented is just these large, like there's only one newer rent compared to for these larger retail shops, and yeah, that's what we're presenting.
Do any of them have an auto service component?
None of them do.
Do any of them have an auto body component?
No, they're all just retail, large retail, like Best Buy, Sport Checks. You know, as I tried to explain, none of them have auto body related. Selling cars or anything like that.
Why would the range of leases only go up to 2018 then? Don't you have anything that was after 2018 and before the reference date?
Well, again, a lot of these larger retail box stores have longer leases. So once they re-up all in kind of 2023 and going forward, we'll have more updated ones for these larger ones.
Well, I mean, the Act requires the assessment to be redone every 2 years, 3 years in this case. So there is some intent to try to keep it current. I mean, there's nothing here that is current within the cycle. That this is the last cycle's rent rolls, aren't they?
Yeah, like up till the most recent is 2018, and then it goes down to 2013. But they're all leases that are in place as of the reference date. There's newer ones to use them, and once the newer ones come around next cycle, when they're all re-upped, we'll have it'll be more recent.
Well, but the cycle that you should be looking at shouldn't it be April 1st, 2018 to April 1st, 2021?
Well, yeah, a lot of these reference dates fall into that. You know, there's still leases in place. They have steps ups in place that come into place. Then, like again, if I had newer ones, I'd have them in front of you, but I don't.
No, I'm not. I'm just curious.
That's my answer. Thank you.
No, I get it, but I know your answer, but I'm just curious. I mean, aren't we out to determine if there was a change in this reassessment cycle? And what's being presented is no evidence one way or another whether or not there was a change.
Mr. Neufeld, I think it's been asked and answered. We're still on the first matter on the docket, so.
Well, we won't go over it again in the next 6. Don't worry. Do you have body shop rents?
I'm not presenting any body shop rents. No, this is the comparables I presented.
No, but does the assessment department have a library of body shop rents?
Body shop rents are mostly owner occupied as well.
Okay,
I presented many collision centers. This and it's the same. Presenting smaller auto body lists that are. It's hard to find large auto body net rents.
In regard then to the capitalization rate, then I think I heard you say that this was a retail rate.
No, I just presented what we've shown for retail rates. We have there's no sales with net operating incomes to determine cap rates for these auto bodies. So I just showed you the range of our retail rates, which are closer to the comparables I presented. But just that range of retail, but not better than saying there's no range, if that makes sense.
Okay, well, the model this year is allowing a 3% expense ratio. So how do you deal with issues for dealerships? This is assessed as a dealership. And how do you deal with issues like a requirement to continually upgrade your image package?
Sorry, can you ask that again? I don't understand the question.
Yeah, okay. I don't want to present evidence, but I'll give you a longer background to the question. Auto dealership, this is assessed as a dealership. Dealerships that are associated with international manufacturers are required to maintain an image package, which is all the signage, the color of their tiles and their wall coverings, their lighting, et cetera, et cetera. And these things are running between $1 million and $2 million and require upgrades every 7 to 10 years. So how does the model account for the requirement to change an image package for a dealership on $3,500 a year?
We're using 3% non-recoverable expense.
Oh, so 11,000 a year. I'm sorry.
So we're using a 3% that has been determined looking at actual globally across different income producing properties that have NOIs we can look at, that have expenses we can look at and compare to see what that non-recoverable is. Again, we don't have incomes for these dealerships. That 3% is global. We're not using it just for dealerships. It's for across the board. It's went up from 2% to 3% this cycle. If you have any, anything to present about the expense rate you're using, that sounds like, something to do in yours, because I'm not doing anything. We're not taking into account anything.
No, okay. So your answer is it's just a generic one, but you have a separate category for dealerships, but nothing was changed for them.
That 3%, I'm sure you've seen is 3% on every income producing property.
Are you involved in any way with the resolutions that are being attempted at the municipal board on the dealerships and the position that the assessment department has taken?
I'm not personally, all the stuff I have at case management without prejudices, I can't talk about here anyways.
Well, these aren't without prejudice issues, but because they're published, but are you aware of any of them?
From my understanding, none of the actual hearings have happened for the breakdown of the dealerships yet. There's been no decisions on them.
Oh, okay. It's been filed with as evidence a pre-hearing order. Are you familiar?
I'm not working on those at all. No.
Oh, okay, that's all.
He's answered the question.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to clarify if he had any knowledge of it. That's all. And
Okay.
I don't know if Mr. Mercury has any questions.
No, I have no questions. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Mr. Mann, any questions?
Just a couple with respect to your rent comparables found in page 5 in your brief. These rent comparables are all as a result of the income and expense mailers that have been received?
Yes, they are all net leases in places from the tenants of those properties.
And these are all retail, as you said. Are you aware of the either the land plan ratio or excessive land or extra land that might form part and parcel, or is that outside the scope of the comparables?
Yeah, I didn't look at the exact land to building ratio of each of these comps and whether they were, I don't have that listed out in front of me now.
Okay, thank you. Those are my questions.
Thank you, Mr. McIntyre. Any questions?
Just one question. You're showing a plan area of 25,833 square feet and a leasable area of 29,062 square feet. Is there a mezzanine in this building?
You know what? Good question. I haven't been in it, so I can't confirm where that difference is exactly.
Because you're also showing 2 buildings on your page 1, I believe.
Yeah, when I reviewed this one, I didn't actually look at that. I didn't notice the 2 buildings and the one, like if that was changed over and updated over the years or what. So I don't have an answer for you on that one.
Okay, thank you. That was my only question.
Okay, thank you. I have no questions at this time, so the applicants may go ahead, please.
Thank you. I'm fairly familiar with this site from the day it was built until the current time. purchased a few vehicles in there in 1988 to 1991, and have been working for the ownership since 2007 on their valuation issues. Lots of inspections on it. So it was a prototype Toyota dealership from 1988, and this was at the time the best plan. And it had the panoramic front showroom with the side area for Lexus, and there was a body shop and a service area. So it was a complete dealership for a smaller sorry, if I'm a little bit hesitant in pausing here, I'm still getting over some sickness here. So anyway, at the time, Toyota was a smaller automobile retailer, and their popularity increased dramatically, and the site became obsolete. And those are the sales that the assessor had presented. So the first sale of 1.5 million was actually a non-arm's length transaction. The next one at 2.5 million was after the Chipmans had taken control of it and but they were well aware that they needed a bigger facility. So they built a much larger one in Point West and put this up for sale. It took a long time to sell because at this point it was no interest at all as an automobile dealership. Sobeys was their best bet, and Sobeys was going to demolish it and rebuild the land value. It was obsolete. After being exposed in the market for several years, the Hyundai, who at that time did not need a building this large, took a gamble on it. And so that's when it sold for 2.5 million. And why I'm bringing this up is a very good reason. So that was a transaction that was purely for real estate. There was no shifting of the franchise. There was no business at all. It was pure real estate. Now, the last sale in 2017 was when the current owner purchased it from the first Hyundai dealership. And I was personally involved in the transaction. So this is not hearsay. It involved the business. It was not a real estate deal. It involved the transference of a franchise. The negotiation was not for real estate. So that's one of the problems with trying to chase auto dealer sales, is to make sure that if you're doing this for ad valorem taxation, you do not chase sales of businesses, which the 2017 was. And I know the assessor did not, but I find that information can be seen as prejudicial. It involved the business. The way we are looking at it is just from the real estate perspective, and without regard for the business. And on our page 1, we've established a rent of $11. And sorry, I'm just gasping here because I did not prepare this. And I'm not uncomfortable with using 29,062 square feet, because in this case it would be that it would be appropriate to use it. There's actually a separate entrance available to the second floor, so it's separately demised as its own services. So I'll have to give you revise that number. I didn't realize that going in, but I agree. 29,062. That's not an area of dispute. The rent is, and the next issue is the vacancy, and the concept of the rent vacancy cap rate. It's not a retail building. It's not an industrial building. It's, call it half and half. And that's the way we've been appraising them. I began my appraisal profession working for the Chipmans, who were own auto dealerships, and that's what we did. We call it a hybrid, a cross between retail and industrial, and looked at both uses for establishing rental rates, vacancy rates, and cap rates. And that I'm bringing up, I obviously asked the assessor the question about what's happening at municipal board, and that's what's happening at municipal board. There's consensus on that subject. So I am just a little surprised that they've shifted back to retail, but that's how these things should be approached. Half retail, half industrial. So if you looked at the $11, we're not going to dispute $14 is a good rent, maybe $15 on the retail, but the industrial side of it is anywhere between $5 and $8, and that's how we come up with a number of 11. With the vacancy, it's easier to do because we looked at the city vacancy rate in retail, city vacancy rate in industrial, and took the mean. Theoretically, that this is the best approach. The cap rate, the same issue. In terms of the shortfall, a common issue I'm seeing this year on all properties is that the shortfall is not reflective of actual shortfall. The city has one shortfall rate for retail, and it gets applied whether your rent is $40 a foot or $6 a foot. The biggest component of shortfall is to carry the taxes, and they're going to vary based on the tax load. And so we've done the actual estimate of tax load. That's why the shortfall is higher. As far as the non-recoverables, we're using 5%. There is information at the end of this document on our study and this is, I've only got halfway through it. And this is pages 45, 46. These are Collier's managed properties, and a review of, and these are a mix of retail, office, and industrial. They're showing a mean of 9.81% is the typical non-recoverable. They go up, they go down. And that's, and the concept of applying a non-recoverable is a stabilization of this expense, because there are bad years and good years. Usually applies to with tenant turnover. And you can see the chart shows that. They exist, and the issue on them is your NOI is supposed to chase the expectation of how much cash goes in the owner's pocket. And if he's paying out non-recoverables, you don't just wave it away with the paperwork. It's there. So the NOI, and I'll give you the revised number later when I fix the rent, but we've been capped it at 7.25%, and our calculation was, again, we looked at a starting point of retail and industrial, which a good rate is 6%, and then looked at the differences. The first one is, of course, the Collier's cap rate's always been done on the purchaser's return rather than the vendors, and that's not the way we do it for taxation or appraisal. So that's a small adjustment. Location, West Winnipeg. The real issue with West Winnipeg is that the hinterland area is so weak. You know, bear in mind that the first time an enclosed mall got demolished was Unicity, because it couldn't carry, an enclosed mall could not be carried by the population. And that's just a sign of a low population, because it's geographically limited by Saskatchewan Avenue to the north and the Assiniboine River to the south. The Moray Bridge actually reduced traffic to the area when it was put in, but that's why West Winnipeg tends to have weaker numbers, as opposed to more dominant areas such as St. Mary's and Keniston, McGilvery, and Regent. The next issue has to do with configuration. The concept of a high ceiling showroom and a garage in the back. What are the alternative uses for it? And also considering design and layout and on a built to suit site. It was always great at the old place at 756 Pembina to look out the window and see prove the point. Look out the window at Royal Sports. This is the best adaptive reuse we could find for an old dealership. Is a sports shop. They just don't. They're really not that conducive to redevelopment or to reuse without a major capital amount, and that's what we're trying to say here. The other issues having to do with the year build, quality, and condition. Now we don't do this effective year build. We have three factors: the year build that cannot be changed, quality, and condition. Now, I've been in back and front. The front image package was redone shortly after sale, so they did put in new tiles. They repaired the windows, repaired the roof, and they had some decorative metallic trees installed. But the back is vintage 1988, and nothing has changed back there. So it's got a lower remaining economic life, and that's why we're capping at 7.25. The rents that we had looked at, and you can see I'm going to take a fairly major disagreement with the assessor on they couldn't find any rents, because there are rents out there. The first one we have is an RV dealership, which is coming up later. So it's at 958 and it's got a lot of land. And you'll hear about that later. The next one is 1066 Nairn. Now there is a typo here. This was a Hyundai dealership, same as the subject. And at 17,000 feet, they had outgrown the premises and they moved to 1400 La Jamodier. And they vacated in around 2020, the summer of 2020. In the middle of COVID, they were trying to relocate. And then it sat vacant for years. There's a typo here. The actual start date on the new lease, 1066 Nairn, was April 1st, 2021. Right on our reference period. It was a 1-year deal, which was then extended for another year. And it was the province who were using it for COVID related work. And it was kind of interesting. We had a very good reuse, because in the front you could come in the showroom and get your shots or pick up your kits, and in the back they stored them. So it was an interesting adaptive reuse. The rent is about $17 gross, and so in the first year that worked out to $13 for a 1-year deal. So there was a premium paid for it. However, after reassessment the next year, that rate dropped to $12 because it was a gross rent. So we have a short-term lease at 13 going to 12. The next site was a couple of the other sites we were looking at here were 2195 Pembina. That's a bit further down. This was Canadian Tire, which was an auto service related site, and then was converted to a Giant Tiger, $980 a square foot. Now, the concept of real estate is, what is the property worth on the market? Not for a car dealership specifically, but if the car dealership goes away, what can you do with the property? That's the test. And that's what we were trying to figure out. 3680 Portage. This was the last lease I had, February of 17, for 5 years. This was a car dealership, $11.32 a foot. I think this has changed, but I don't know when it changed. 231 Oak Point was a former Harley Davidson purpose-built dealership, and it was leased on a 5-year deal in 2017 for $7 a foot for a used car dealer. Now, that site is deficient on the service end, and that's why that rent is lower. And locationally, it is inferior to the subject, but it is an indicator that there are rents out there. Next, moving along, 2554 Portage. That was the rent established by Mercedes. This is a former General Motors site built in 1963 and substantially adapted and renovated in just trying to remember the right years here. I think it was 1999 with 20-year terms and step-ups. So at the last step-up was at 756, and I was just looking for, there was a renewal, which was, I was told was at $8. That occurred during the subject time. So this was a very modern dealership, comparable in quality to the subject, but deficient on land. And that was $758. Other than that, oh wait, there's an older car lease before 2150 McPhillips. This was provided by the city. This is a short-term deal at $11.90 for Nissan while they're awaiting construction on their new site. And then there are some older deals listed below, $9.16 and $11. 10. I mean, these are much older, at least 10, 15 years older. There are rents out there. Now, the other ones we looked at were auto body and service sales, and there's a variety of them in here. 700 Maury, auto body, $6. 1871 Pembina, auto body, $7. 1985 Maine. That's auto repair, not body. 731 Dudley. I forgot the street number on it, but it's right off Pembina. 815 King Edward. These are Boyd sites. 842 and Scurfield 905. And this was the one at corner Scurfield and Dovercourt that was an egg hatchery, and then changed into a body shop. Most all of these I have been in and inspected, and just to see that they were reliable. The second page are just, well, looks like this was just our general rent tables. And the second page, page 4, is we weren't looking at any of these. As well as page 5, I think we were just putting in a more of a market study, not for primary reliance, but just to look at general market rents. For example, we have page 5, numerous rents of office buildings in more industrial areas and urban area, rural, suburban areas.
We get it.
Thanks. Thanks for saving me in here. Then some more industrial. There are some articles, and I'm this is just to provide context, and to be fair, I'm not going to go through them in any detail because you can see that some of these were published in 2022, but they were all a compilation of what was happening before then. One of interest is on page 8 is the decision to move dealerships from West Portage to Kenaston. Now, there's a reason they do that, because that's where the buyers are. West Portage is weak. I just wanted to see if there's anything else that I wanted to before I'll go over. I think I've been over the cap rate, and okay. 1 second. I just want to check my notes here. Oh yeah, no. I do want to talk, and I don't know if it's rebuttal or verbal evidence, but I did provide some information on the ongoing treatment of auto dealerships between the city and all of the agents representing auto dealerships. I think it's pertinent to this discussion.
Well, I mean, we're dealing with quantum right now, and this, what you provided here, is sufficient.
Yeah. Okay. No, this has to do with the theory, the application. And I did ask the assessor questions that would establish this as a rebuttal document, and then, so just tell me when you want me to talk about it. And other than that, I'm done on the main brief.
Okay. Yes, well, Mr. Spacek, do you have any questions for Mr. Neufeld?
I have no questions. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Mr. Mann?
I do with respect to the sale, with the sale in 2017 for $5,250,000, you indicated that that was a business related transaction or involved the land and the business. The details from the assessor were that this was the amount that was registered in land titles. Land titles doesn't, or to your knowledge, does land titles deal with franchise sales?
Land titles processes what is given to them, and if there's a doubt, they can order an appraisal. But if they have two arm's length parties exchanging cash, I've never seen them question sales like this. And it's very common in the auto dealership world. If I was going to do a case study analysis to show you how the value of a car dealership changes depending on whether or not you're selling the franchise with it, this would be the study. This is the perfect one because it's had these two transactions, one without the franchise, one with. Essentially, the way it works is that auto franchises cannot be sold without the manufacturer's approval. And one of the issues the manufacturer will require is that you have an adequate location to do this at. And the vendor says, I'm not going to sell it unless I'm not going to sell you my franchise. I'm going to sell you the whole package. And so what happens is that the deal goes through with a premium for including the franchise that can't be sold. I've been.
What was the premium in 2017 then?
Pardon me?
What was the premium? You just talked about a premium paid for the business in 2017. Given the land titles has reported the transaction of $5,250,000, what was the premium paid? Can you tell us that?
I know the number. I'm just wondering if I have the right to transmit it, because I did this on the basis of as an appraisal, and I'm governed by confidentiality on it. Let's just say I wouldn't be here trying to tell you a different number unless there was some support for it. But no, I can't say what it is, but I can tell you I was in the room. It was part of the deal. I've probably been involved in more automobile dealership transactions than most people, because it was something like I don't just do tax appeals. I work a lot in the specialty property area, and this is one of the areas where there's always we call it a use value. And I don't really, as far as titles goes, they don't enter into this equation. They're not a governing body; they're a reporting body, really, and they get involved in bankruptcies and issues like that. But other than that, they're not really interested in these deals.
Thank you. I have nothing further.
Thank you. Mr. McIntyre?
Just continuing with Ian's question, why would a prudent business owner pay land transfer tax on the sale of the business portion and not the real estate?
Well, it's a two-way transaction. Remember, it's not just the purchaser who controls the deal. If he does not agree to the deal, he doesn't get the franchise. It's too bad. Pay the 2 points and live with it. and it reflects the value of the business. And now the transactions that occur will then also have an inventory portion of it, which of course is not part of this. It's not inventory. And there are goodwill portions which don't necessarily go in that, but this is a part of the deal was you want the franchise, you buy the building at my price. So it's you know, not everybody lines up for cheap gas when it goes on sale. Some people just get on with life and want to sell cars. That's the best way I could answer that.
Okay, that was my only question.
Thank you. My question has been answered. So is there a need for summary from either party on this matter?
No summary here, thank you.
I have my corrected number.
Okay.
Yeah, so we do agree 29,062 square feet at $11. Do you want all the numbers through, or do you want the main ones?
I believe you already gave us most of the number. It would just affect the NOI and the final number?
Well, yeah, the NOI then raises to 267,618, 267,618. The final number is 3,691,000, 3691.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, the next matter on the docket.
I do want to go through the rebuttal, and it does refer to all of the properties today.
Okay. Sorry, I forgot. Okay. Go ahead.
Okay, so I had sent in two documents. One is called marked rebuttal, and this is
just hold on a minute to see if we are. I do not have that.
I sent it yesterday. I got.
We've distributed it into the SharePoint, so it should be in there for you, Madam Chair.
I'm just looking. Sorry. What's it labeled?
I called it rebuttal.
Yes, it's labeled as rebuttal. Applicant items 1 to 7 rebuttal.
Why do I? Sorry, I'm just going through. Did you just put it in now, or was it in?
No, I put it in yesterday.
No, not you. 'Cause
5 minutes ago or so.
Okay, so I'll just try refreshing. Sorry. I don't know why it's not here. I'm just. Mr. Mann, do you have it?
I have it. Yes.
Okay. Mr. Spacek?
Yes, I received it, thank you.
Okay, so I guess, why is, sorry, I don't know why it hasn't. Orders. Items 1 through, no. Can you perhaps just email it to me if it's not
Absolutely.
loading here? Thank you. I'll try one more time, but I'm gonna shut everything down and try again. Oh, here it is. It just popped up right now.
You should also get it in your email.
Okay, well, I'll start with this one. Okay, sorry about that. Okay, I have the information now. Please proceed.
Yes, so this is a municipal board order, pre-hearing order, and this is the last document in a very long, lengthy process of case management. And you can see that who the participants are in this, and all being held in a manner to resolve vehicle dealerships. And the idea behind it, where there was consensus, was that there are three types of dealerships in the city, and we're looking at agreeing to a standardized set of rates, dealing with the same concepts of lack of data and a unique site, and the agreement was on the basis that they are partially retail and partially industrial, and we're out to look for a solution for them. And this is all stated in this order. Now, what I'm getting at with this is we're talking about equity here. And equity is not necessarily something that comes into effect for most assessments, but there is a consensus that that's what we're striving towards, because there's a large amount of outstanding appeals. And the concept is to go to the test, bring in a test case and look at each of these separately. And so there's the condominium unit, the retail unit, and the industrial unit. And there's industrial units on our docket today. I don't think there's any condominiums. So all of these are different factors, and the agents who handle all the properties are in agreement as to the standards for valuation and our position. And essentially, the next batch of orders shows what has been happening in the world of auto dealers is that the vast majority of these sites are being changed to the valuation parameters that we were looking for. And then there are every year 20-30% that are not, and then go to hearing. So we are looking for equity on these, and there's agreement that we should be looking for equity on these. So I've attached the orders that have come out so far on automobile dealerships. And coincidentally, I just got a package today from last year, almost a month ago. But they show a consistency of using the NOI established by the agent. And we're all following the same rules. $13, $12, $11 a foot, and caps at 7 1/4, sometimes 8. And I'm sorry, I discussed this with Mr. Mercury, and I'm looking for him to give us a bit of guidance on this, because I'm muddled in my head right now.
Sorry, the guidance on
what we're doing in case management, and why these orders matter that we put in.
Let me just pause on that, because I'm not sure.
The email you sent me this morning.
Bear with me.
I'm putting you on the spot. I'm sorry.
No, sorry. These are the border revision orders that you're.
Yes.
No, those were referred to related to the deferral orders. So I don't think I included.
No. The other orders, the decisions that I had sent you.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Yeah, I think the point of, yes, sorry about that. I think the point that was attempted to be conveyed here is, and just generally speaking, it relates to everything you're talking about, is that of consistency. And there is a general understanding, of course, that the Board of Revision and even the municipal board is not bound per se by earlier decisions, but there is a requirement of all administrative tribunals to attempt at least to be consistent and treat litigants consistently. So when we talk about test cases on other auto dealers and so forth, they're not just simply to be confined to the individual cases, unless of course they're truly uniquely different. But if there's a general principle that is applicable, the Board of Revision and the municipal board does have an obligation to consistently apply its reasoning going forward. And so when we have case management orders, an attempt to consolidate matters and issues and arguments, it is relevant. And I think it's important for this board to be mindful of what is happening on parallel fronts. So I think that really is the point that the point of these other orders and case management orders that have come out as part of the overall presentation.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to say.
Got it. Good job. Thank you. Okay, Mr. Spacek, do you have any questions regarding the rebuttal evidence?
I don't think I have a question, but I guess I do. I just
You'll have an opportunity to respond.
Yeah, no question.
Yeah. Thank you. If that's what you want to do. Okay, Mr. Mann?
Yeah, I'm just a little bit confused with respect to why the order from the municipal board outlining the dates for the hearing of the test cases, which is going to take place in March. Are all the submissions today going to be related to the arguments you intend to make in March, which may or may not be accepted by the municipal board? Or is this a way to tactically say, well, the municipal board has decided this, the Board of Revision has decided this, therefore the municipal board should go along with it? I don't see the relevance of knowing that there's going to be a test case in 3 different particular areas. Subsequent to the test case determination, yes, clearly relevant. Now, I don't see the relevance.
Well, the concept of case management is to narrow the issues. And what I'm trying to show you here is the issues were narrowed. And there's still no value decision. And what they're talking about is 2017 assessments at this point in time. And that's not the issue on the table. The issue is the methodology. And the methodology was there are 3 types of dealerships that are distinct from each other. There's a consensus that it's a split retail industrial approach on it. And that they're going to be fairly uniform rates within each of the 3 divisions.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. McIntyre.
Mr. Mann asked my question. Thank you.
Yes, Mr. Mann addressed my concern as well on this matter. So, Mr. Spacek, do you have any rebuttal evidence?
So I'm not going to present the decisions I've had so far on dealership as well. That's it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. So, I believe we are done with this matter now. We will move on to the next matter on the docket.
Thank you. I'm going to leave the meeting at this point, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Good morning.
Morning.
Next matter is 2000 Main Street.
You know what, Madam Chair, would you mind? I just need to run to the washroom really quick. Just 3 minutes. I'll be right back.
Absolutely. You know, we'll
Thank
take, why don't we'll take like a 5-minute recess.
So then before I go, I just to let everybody know I only have this room till 12:30. I think I was a little hopeful for that. So I'll have to move to a different room over. Maybe we'll take a lunch break then and then I'll move to a different room.
Well, we will deal with that if and when we come to that.
Yeah.
Let's be hopeful. Perhaps we can.
Absolutely, for For sure. All right, thank you.
Okay, no problem. Thank you.
There isn't any. Calculators.
We are now live.
I'll use my phone.
Okay, thank you very much. We're now back. Let's begin. Mr. Spacek, 2000 Main Street, please.
Thank you very much. Start here. We have 2000 Main Street. This is file number 22919. We have a roll number 1103099600. We have a 2023 assessment of $7,591,000. Again, we have a auto dealership on Main Street. This is the corner of Main and Templeton, across from the Kelowna Park Golf Course. And you'll notice it was originally built here in 1951 with some upgrades over the years. Most recently, a small addition in 2015, but nothing as of late. We have an effective year of 1986, and we have a gross floor area of this property at 44,519 with a leasable area of 40,243. And I'll just point out while we're here, on the most recent mailer, it was noted that they have the leasable area as 40,839. So I could not confirm, looking into this property and some of those most recent, in 2015 when there's renovations, I'm trying to figure out where that difference is coming from. But this is one that needs to be looked at, I believe, to confirm what the actual leasable square foot of this property is. But we have it as 43,243. So that's my update on the leasable square area for this property. You'll see on page 2, we have the Vic R4 dealership. Again, this is a dealership, has a auto body in it, and a bit of a service center. You'll see that we have on page 4 just our whole breakdown of the property, very similar to last. We have 43,243 square feet across the whole building. Modeled rental rate of $12.96. 2% vacancy again, 3% expense, $6 shortfall, and that 6.95% cap rate. Again, those all combined come to $7,591,000. That is the income workup. Again, page 5, list of retail warehouses. You'll see there's not any retail warehouses located on this part of Main Street. So there's not a close retail warehouse, but again, using that same list as the last. And there's really no new information on this one for dealerships. This mailer was sent in and we received it. And again, these are all owner occupied. So page 9 going forward is the income and expense mailer. You'll notice all expenses are filled out and there's no income as they do not receive an income. That is my presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Mr. Neufeld, do you have any questions?
Yes. So how does it, I'm going to stay in order of the document. 1951 original construction. How does it become 1986 effective year built? What was significantly altered to?
Again, over the years, I don't have especially older, if anything, for like HVAC or maintenance or for what runs the building was upgraded. But in 2015, there was a small addition. You can see at the bottom of page 2, the exterior and that the doorway was added with a little bit. It's 152 square meters, which is approximately 1,500 square feet. But what exactly upgraded that effective year to 1986? I don't have the exact details on that. But again, just the building being slightly modernized. And, I doubt it's the original heating system in there. It's been upgraded at some point, and, that's what brings up that effective year a bit.
How does this, what's the process to change the effective year? Were there inspections done before and after, or?
Yeah, most commonly, when a permit comes out for any sort of renovation over the year that's major, it is added, and then an effective year is determined. What should it be updated from? It's obviously not originally 1951, and whoever at that time did a renovation on it or an update, that effective year is updated as well if warranted. But I don't know who did or what the exact date was that was changed.
To your knowledge, did anybody go out and look at it?
I didn't look when the last inspection was. Sorry.
And Did you look through the notes on the plan area? Because I know we've been through this several times with the assessment department.
I did not update myself on the notes, no. I tried to look at where the difference in square footage is coming from, but I couldn't find anything.
Okay, well, we had an agreement actually. That's what I'm getting at. That there was a agreement on the size at 40,839 or whatever it was. You're not aware of this?
No, I'm not. I will definitely, put it in going forward as well, because I didn't see that, no.
Okay.
But if it's been agreed upon, then, there's no questions from me. I'm not trying to argue with square footage, that's wrong.
It was at a hearing and maybe it never made it to the files.
Yeah.
Okay. Just sorry, we're just in the interest of time, we understand, and can we move on, please?
Sure. Now, the property sold, I'm just wondering why it didn't show up in your sales history.
Again, I don't actually make this subject sale history. That just pops up based on, anything we have for the land sales, any sales that come through on there. So I didn't remove anything. If there was a sale, I don't know about it.
Page 4, this is all valuation done by the model?
Absolutely.
Okay, and if the effective year were different from this, would it be fair to say that your numbers would be different?
Yeah, like in usually a older building will get somewhat lower rents, and then also based on size, location, other kind of factors like that.
Where does the data come for a 2% vacancy?
2% vacancy is when vehicle dealerships are looked at. How many of them? What's the vacancy rate on all the dealerships looked at? And again, not too many vacant dealerships, so I'm assuming that's where that 2% came from. I didn't do the actual analysis, but that's just my understanding of our vacancy rates.
Well, you just said that they're mostly all owner occupied, I believe, and how can you then have a vacancy loss?
Well, an empty, I'm assuming they're looking for empty. If there's any, sitting for sale, how do the best of our ability look for vacant dealerships and see if it's a common thing, or if what should that rate be for something that's mostly to represent mostly owner occupied and open.
You know what percentage of the building is still vintage 1951?
No, I don't have that.
These are the same rents on page 5 that we discussed earlier, that you presented earlier, I should say.
Yes.
These would all be in different parts of the city, are they not? There's no North Main here?
Absolutely. There's no more North Main.
Okay. And none of them built in 1951 either?
No, the oldest one is, one of the older ones is 1000 St. James, 73, but in general, the retail are all 2000 plus.
Those are my questions.
Thank you very much. Mr. Mann, any questions?
Just to confirm, and to be clear, the square footage that we are now operating with is 40,839 square feet, or is the city maintaining the 43,243 square feet total leasable area?
Well, it's a great question. I don't have I'm trusting Mr. Dufell that this has been done at a hearing before. We're saying they're reporting 40,839. I just don't have a record of that being changed. But again, if that's something that's been agreed upon before, I am not in disagreement with that. It's just tough for me because I don't have that in front of me, if that makes sense.
Okay, thank you. That's my question.
Mr. McIntyre?
I have no questions, thank you.
I do not anymore, so thank you. Mr. Neufeld, please proceed.
Thank you. In regard to the 40,000 feet, we had submitted building plans to the assessment department, and I'm just searching for them, but these aren't coming out of anyone's head. This is what the architect and the builder had. There were changes prior to the renovation. There was some space up above that no one had ever looked at in years, and it's 5-foot ceiling clearance and file storage. So it was never deemed to be rentable space, nor not even accessory space. It's just like a closet up in the attic, which doesn't count for anything. And there was agreement on it after I presented the the building plans, and I can find them and send them in as well. I just thought the matter was resolved. The building itself, there was a renovation and there was a delivery bay.
So, sorry to interrupt, Mr. Neufeld. Do you have some kind of filter on?
No,
Oh, okay, it's clearing. Okay.
my speaker microphone is down low when I moved in front of it. The changes that were done were that they had to reframe the showroom, and they also added a vehicle delivery bay that the assessor had brought up. Essentially, the front was fairly well modernized, and if you look at the pictures, and you can, I don't know who's got the best overhead. Well, they're about the same. The front portion of it was could be considered newer, but the rear portion is vintage 1951. It's still the same brick building that was built at that point. Nothing changes. Now there's some cladding added. The image package, you can see, I talk about the image packages. This is the Ford package. So they have to clad the buildings in a siding, the gray siding with the Ford insignias. The Ford image package runs about $1.5 million to $2 million. It's not real estate. It's it'll change next time Ford has an image change. That's just the nature of this business. The building property was formerly known as Parkside Ford, owned by Cam McIver, who was my client, sold it to the Vigor Group, were my client. I was involved with the transaction again. I'm always in there. And it involved, again, a transfer of a franchise. In this particular case, Ford has reservations about this site. They don't care for it. They wanted the dealership moved to McPhillips. That's no secret. Cam bought land out there. But they wanted the operators of the place wanted to keep it on Main for the service because it's got an auto body shop and repair, and they're closer to their clientele than McPhillips. And they eventually came to the agreement that if they modernize the front and did the work, then it stays on Main Street. These are just the dynamics that happen in the automobile business, and they're not. It does differ from retail. The valuation that we had established, again, we were sticking with the agreements we made and the position we took with auto dealers in the city. We're not. I personally would probably put a lower rent on this on a market value, but there was a consensus agreement that the lower ends were going to be at the $11 rent for the vehicle dealerships. This is at the lowest end. This would be one of the lowest valued dealers in the city, and vacancy again. That split between retail and industrial, and all of the. I should say that the vacancies come from the Johnson report. And the Johnson report has several hundred pages of actual sites that show us what's considered vacant, what's not, and how it's calculated. It's transparent. It is not a model. It's one guy going out and pounding the pavement twice a year and collecting all the vacancies and selling them to the rest of us. Shortfall, same issue. Taxes are higher than normal than other properties, and that's the greatest part of shortfall. Non-recoverables, even it's owner occupied, but non-recoverables on properties like this are huge, especially the age this is at. They have a lot of age-related deficiencies on the site. Cosmetics don't make a building younger. The assessor mentioned something about an HVAC upgrade, and the HVAC was upgraded in the showroom, not in the body shop or the service department. It's still the same old system, and that's the bulk of the business. This one would probably be best classified more as a service garage than anything with a service garage with an attached showroom. Now, they also own the lot to the north, and you can see in the picture there's a car parking there. The land at 3.7 acres is insufficient for an automobile dealership. A modern requirement for a Ford dealership would be about 10 acres. With their lot next door, they bring their acreage up to about 4.2 acres in total, and it's still deficient. Now the company has parking lots elsewhere, and so it's a constant ferrying of vehicles from their storage facilities elsewhere to this site, but it's not adequate for a car dealership. If the concept, when the assessment department chases the concept of excess land, this would be one where you should deduct for lack of land. However, we're sticking with our concept. As we told you, we're going to the municipal board. There's some agreement there, and this is the range we're using. And the cap on this one would be much higher because of the age and the deficiencies and the lack of space of land. We come up to 4,851,000 and less the lot, because this is being assessed as a vehicle dealership. Therefore, the adjacent lot should factor into it. It's assessed at 512,000, so we're requesting a value of 4,339,000. I think, and I don't think there's anything new in the rents to go through. It's pretty much the same package. That's my presentation.
Thank you very much. Mr. Spacek, do you have any questions for Mr. Neufeld?
Yeah, just for that lot you're asking to be removed. Is that the value? Have you heard that one at the border revision yet?
Yeah, I thought there was no change. I think it was heard, and I'll double check that.
Yeah, I'll just just to be fair, it looks like 2023 was reduced from 642 to 512.
Oh yeah, okay. So we factored in the reduction.
And so you're asking for 512?
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay, I just want to make sure. If that were to happen, it was the right amount. Yeah, that is all my questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mann. Any questions?
With respect to the lot at 2050 Main, that matter has been heard. What was the cap rate and the NOI for that?
Oh, it was a rate per square foot on just land.
Okay. Thank you. I have nothing further.
Thank you, Mr. McIntyre.
Just a question. Is it not true that there's a significant amount of auto dealers in Winnipeg that have storage off-site from their retail store?
Yeah, and it's the difference. They're different, all of them. But the new target is 10 acres. I'm telling you the optimal target. It used to be 5 acres until until all the bankruptcies happened. I forgot the year, and the manufacturers stopped starring the cars themselves. So now the dealers have to get the cars and speak for them right away and store them themselves. So they just need more land, and they do have off-site parking. 2315 Dugald, 1501 Dugald, 1509 Dugald, and beside Mitsubishi on Waverly is where they're putting their overflow. They'll receive their cars there, and then they'll jockey them over to the sites as required.
So the answer is yes.
Yeah, yes, it is. I asked the question at the beginning, complete vehicle dealership. Well, it's not complete. It's lacking some land.
That was my only question.
Thank you very much. And I have no questions. Is there a need for speaking from either party on this issue?
None for me, thank you.
Nope, we're fine.
Okay, thank you very much. We can move on to the next matter then, which is 2425 McPhillips Street. Mr. Spacek, whenever you are ready.
Thank you very much. We are looking at file number 22-3817. We have roll number 050014205000, address 2425 McPhillips Street. We have a 2023 value of $6,850,000. Again, we have another vehicle dealership. This one was actually built in 2016, and it has a land area of 133,000. It has a plan area of 27,000 and a total gross floor area of 32,000 and a leasable area of 32,000. You can see on page 2, we have this auto body located on Phillips, across from Templeton there, on the corner of Templeton and Phillips, or sorry, on the corner of Templeton and Phillips. I've included a picture of the dealership at page 2. We have a Toyota. You can see on page 4 our income workup for this property: 32,000 square feet at $14.65 a square foot. We have our standard parameters again: 2% vacancy, 3% expenses, shortfall $6, and an overall capitalization rate of 6.45%. Again, including the same comparables on page 5. One of the closer comparables, page 10, just again, retail warehouse, not a dealership, but comparable number 10 on my list, 841 Leela, 10,000 square feet at $22.50 is a Marksman's warehouse. We scroll down to page 9. This is the mailer sent in. You can see they have a book rent in place, but again, this is fully owner occupied, so it's not taken into account. They've included one expense and total leasable area of 32,982, which is slightly above what we're assessing them at 32,000. And again, we have no really new information after that. If you have any questions, please let me know. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Neufeld. Any questions?
Yeah, just getting the screen here. And the building being new, that was pretty much they just rebuilt it and moved it over, right?
From my understanding, yes.
Yeah, they had an older franchise and then they redid it with the new Toyota model. Okay, and page 4 is all by the model.
Yes.
And these are the same rents?
Yes.
Okay. And do you know where their off-site location is for storage?
No.
Okay, thank you. Those are my questions.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mann. Any questions?
No, I don't, thank you.
Mr. McIntyre?
I have no questions, thank you.
Thank you. Nor do I. Mr. Neufeld, please proceed.
Thank you. Yes, so the building was originally sited on the south side. It was a smaller building. I think it was like 16,000 feet. And as I was telling you earlier about, this is Toyota, so the model change for Toyota, you've got to be 30,000 plus now for Toyota, because that's where their market position is. That's why they were required to rebuild the site, and they did it by building on their land next door. And for a while, it was a very cramped space. The land, though, is extremely bad, 3.1 acres, where the requirement for Toyota is, I think, somewhere around 6 to 10 acres, well below it. They had to purchase another lot in West St. Paul, which is very, very close by, because they are close to the northern limits of the city of Winnipeg. And that's where they have to do their storage on. The dilemma here on trying to do the valuation was, generally when you tell you about excess lots, if they're in the city of Winnipeg and you try to balance the assessment off and take into account what they're paying, but this they pay taxes for in West St. Paul. So you can see the numbers are below. Typically we would look at this as I was telling you, our model of $11, $12, and $13. Typically this would be around a $12 rent, and if it had enough room and enough land, or an $11 rent without the land. And so what I was going to suggest here is that I'll give you both numbers, both calculations, and tell you what we're thinking. Nothing here is different from what I've discussed earlier. If this was looked at in its current land deficient stage, the rent of $11 indicates a value of $4,046,000. If one were to assume it had adequate land, then the value would be $4,433. That's at $12. But then you have to subtract land value that they have to pay for elsewhere. Since it's outside the city of Winnipeg and you only have jurisdiction over Winnipeg, I think that the best way is to just look at the $11 rent, which indicates a value of $4,046,000, and then we'll just ignore the deduction for the lot on Eames in West St. Paul. So that would be the presentation. Same rents, nothing new. Oh yeah, there's the assessment for Eames on page 7, and on page 8 are pictures of it. And it looks rather barren of new Toyotas, but that's because you couldn't get any new Toyotas. No one was shipping. Page 8 and 9. And they also operate the reconditioning shop there, so there's more space there. It is contributory, and it cannot survive without it. That's my presentation.
Thank you very much, Mr. Spacek. Any questions for Mr. Neufeld?
I have no questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Mann?
No, I have no questions. Thank you.
Mr. McIntyre?
I have no questions. Thank you.
Nor do I. Is there a need for summary from either party?
No, thank you.
No.
Okay, thank you very much. So we will move on to the next matter, which is 33 Oak Point Highway. Mr. Spacek, please proceed when you are ready.
Thank you very much. We are looking at file number 22-3792. We have roll number 07-569-082300, 33 Oak Point Highway. You can see exactly where this is located at page 2 on the corner of Selkirk and Oak Point Highway. We have a originally built, it's more of a semi garage dealership. You know, it's on Oak Point Highway. It's not our standard vehicle dealership we've been looking at so far. We have originally built in 1963 with the most recent small addition renovation done in 2007. We have effective year of 1998 on this property and a land area of 286,469 with a leasable area of 51,783. You can see it's, if you turn to page 2, you can see the layout of this property, you know, more towards the top of the picture of the buildings. If I've also included on page 3, you can see a row of kind of how the bays are all set up along the one side of the building there. And just the layout from the bottom of page 2. If we turn to page 4, again, they've always requested for our request for information. Again, a sale May 31st, 2019 for $8 million, but that was sent in from again, that was the sale that went through, but I was unable to ascertain from the seller any exact information on the sale, but that's what was reported. We have a breakdown you can see of this property on page 5 for our income approach to value. We have 51,783 square feet broken up across the different buildings. And then in the last area in that income stream is 17,798. This is the mezzanine space that's on the second floor. Again, from my understanding, mostly for tool storage and things like that, but that's where the lower rental rate comes in, as it's split up into mezzanine space at $8.06. But the rest of the property ranges from $12.67 to $13.74. And then our standard dealership parameters: 2% vacancy loss, 3% expenses, shortfall $6, and a capitalization rate of 6.75%. And that's where the total value of $8,139,000 comes from. Again, same comparables, retail warehouse. We don't have any on Oak Point Highway. And again, the mailer sent in is fully owner occupied. Again, book rent included. Leasable area report is 48,600, so there is a difference there. Again, we are including mezzanine space, and there is no new information after that. So if you have any questions, please let me know. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Neufeld, do you have any questions?
Yeah, do you know how the effective actual year builds changed to the effective years? Do you know what was considered in that decision making?
No, same as the last property. I don't know exactly what was done over the years other than the most recent renovation, but not exactly what was put into place to change it to 1998. Did that exactly?
It's not renovations, is it? It's additions that.
Yeah, additions.
In this case, it was all additions. Okay.
Yeah.
So if I'm looking at page 2, I can see 5 distinct, well, 5, 6, 7, 6 or 7 distinct sections.
It's piecework for sure.
So you keep adding on and add, okay.
Yeah.
And it's the valuation on page 5. This is done under VCD guidelines.
Yes.
So was there any adjustment made to this because it's not a car dealership?
No. Again, this is our broad description of dealerships, and you can see when you have a property like this compared to a normal dealership where, again, I think going forward there, as you've stated, there's most likely going to be changes in the future, but this is under using that dealership guidelines, what's come up with the model.
Okay, and page 6, these are the same comparables that you.
Yes.
Any of them have semi-trailer?
No, there's no semi-trailer. They're just retail warehouses, mostly in this. They're all in the city, on main thoroughfares and the Stoke Point Highway. So.
Okay, all right.
There's not any semi-dealership net rents.
Shouldn't this be assessed as an industrial property?
Again, it's at that line where it's still from our understanding still selling semis and working on them similar to the way the cars are sold, and this is the label we have for it. So whether it should be industrial or what we have it as VCD, it's
What's the predominant use on this lot?
It looks like working on semi trucks.
Repair and okay. Is there a showroom?
I don't believe so.
Now you've got 51,783 feet. I noticed the mailer is 48,600, which is pretty much the plan area. Do you know where your mezzanine space is? I take the mezzanine space is approximately 3,100 feet then?
Well, we have it. Yeah, I don't know the exact measurements. I know in one of the additions, part of it was adding mezzanine space. The exact amount it wasn't specified, so I couldn't confirm. So I can't really confirm or deny where that extra, 4,000 square feet or.
You don't know how many sections this considered?
No, I don't have the exact breakdown. I just know we have it as 5 buildings, 5 premises.
Okay.
And 1 story, so that extra space is mezzanine.
You've never been in this building?
No, I've never been in this building.
Did you investigate this sale?
No, I couldn't find any information to determine other than what was put through and given to us for the land sales sworn value consideration.
Okay. So you were not aware then it was a non-arm's length transaction then, were you?
Yeah, I don't have any information confirming or denying. Nothing was sent in to confirm that.
Those are my questions. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mann.
No, thank you. I have no questions.
Thank you, Mr. McIntyre.
I have no questions. Thank you.
Thank you, nor do I. Mr. Neufeld, please proceed.
Property is a truck dealership, but its main business is repair. The overhead, actually, I like the assessor's picture better on his page. I don't know how he gets these. Page 2, the bottom of page 2. You can see it's in an L-shaped, and the middle portion is the old part. There is a 1 truck showroom in there, and I have pictures in there, and the rest is service and parts. They have a very, very small sales area that's on the right-hand side of that middle section. If you look at where the number 33 is, that's where the overhead door is to allow the truck to go in. in that particular section, the front half of it is office showroom. The rest is all working area. The section, the double section on the left side and north, those are service bays. They were originally one batch of service bays, and then they added another batch of service bays. Double entry both sides for high ceiling for servicing tractors, semi-trailers, semi-tractors. The building on the right side was originally an oil warehouse, and it's now since been converted to a parts warehouse. So they're doing parts storage for Volvo across Western Canada, just part of trying to ease the supply chain problems with getting parts for vehicles. And the mezzanine space, there are 4 mezzanine areas. One is in that parts storage. It's a classroom. I think it's roughly 800 square feet. The other is in the middle section. It's the elevated portion. There's the office up there. It's not the size of the external measurement because some of that is just clear space to below, but it's about 400 feet in there. And then there's some mezzanine offices around the truck showroom. They're 6 foot clear. And then there's another mezzanine. It's not a mezzanine, but it's enclosed. Sorry, I'm making noise here. It'll go away. Coffee's filtering itself. There's where it's a air compressor enclosure, and it's just open above. And we've had 2 assessors in, and they were pleased with our numbers. Again, the model or the data's never been updated, but the number we had worked out were done by measurements, and then we had the assessors and we took them around. We measured about 2362, and that's, as I mentioned, about 800 feet on the classroom, 400 or roughly on the office, and then the rest is the ring offices around the showroom area. We're using rents of predominantly industrial, actually all industrial. The showroom and office area, and it also includes the truck repair area is $8, and the reasoning being is that the truck repair area is high Q and it is well laid out. So it would be the top rent for industrial in this region, whereas the mezzanine is just inferior quality. It's space, but it's certainly not providing any amenities. It wouldn't be the sort of space that adds any real value, but it's there. The warehouse area it's a very, very basic warehouse, and with no real amenities at all. So that's what we had it at $5. And I've inspected this several times, and then there are pictures of the site. And these were from an earlier inspection. So on page 9 is the top picture is the part of the mezzanine we did include. This is the classroom. And that whole area is approximately 800 feet. Then the bottom of that picture, page 9, is the storage area of this is the warehouse building. This, and you can see what it is. It's very, very basic. Page 10. The top of page 10, this is the connection room between the 2 wings. So it services. This is an oil station and pump station for the service operation. Pretty dirty business. And I think that's a compressor with a filter on it. Bottom of page 10 is a typical service bay, and you can see that they still employ the pits on these vehicles, but it is good high, and you know, there's a crane there too. The crane is for lifting the motors out. That's why we went to $8 on it. Page 11 is the parts department, and the bottom is the showroom. And if you know your ages of trucks by looking at the grills, you know that this picture's pretty old. But and what particular interest is that it's missing its stacks, because they couldn't fit the stacks inside the showroom. It gives you an idea of the height. And page 12 is more of just the warehouse section of it. The rents that we used were all taken from industrial-based properties. We looked at a couple of the body shops as well, because there are some very good comparisons, and the best one in here is on page 3, 2535 Inkster. Now, this, by the way, has been updated. It was not. It was renewed in. I'm just trying to remember the date it was renewed, because it was my client who renewed it, 2019, and it's $8 a foot for 20,000 feet. Why this is such a great comp? This is the old Peterbilt site. Similar vintage, similar setup, and office parts and work base. This was has been converted though to an auto body or a truck body shop. It is in the RM of Rosser. The market doesn't care what RM you're in; the user does, and that is the best comp by far. For that working space. For the warehousing space, we have a number of rents on page 6 of smaller sites, and we looked at some of these. Not the Mountain View sites. I think they were just in there for premium new builds, but the other sites. This is generally a sampling of what you would see in the area, and the value, the cap rate calculation. This is a very different property, and the way it was added to. Essentially, if you were looking at this in the market, the service bays and the warehouse would have interest in the market and would cap lower. The middle part would be a demolition project. And that's why we capped it higher, because it has no real life to it, no real alternate use. It's there, it serves the existing use. The value we came up with was 3.8 million, and you'll note that there's a massive gap between what we have and what the assessment have. And this really all relates to the misapplication of the VCD standard. It should never have been used on this site. And this is part of the municipal board process. It has been recognized. That's why I wanted to show you that earlier. They will be categorized differently. I think in this particular case that the modeling has not considered any changes yet. We've had 2 assessors through the site, and how do I say this? It sells itself when they finally look at the site. It's no dealership. It's a service garage. I think that's really pretty much all I was going to highlight on this property.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yep.
Mr. Spacek, do you have any questions for Mr. Neufeld?
I have no questions, thank you.
Oh, sorry, I was too quick. Just to point out the sale. The sale was between related parties. It was I've been involved with Mr. Searcy, who was the former owner and operator, and the new owner operators. It's not a market-driven sale. And yes, they did get the Volvo franchise in the deal. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, sir. Mr. Spacek, any questions have risen out of that?
No, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Mann?
No questions, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. McIntyre?
I have no questions, thank you.
Thank you, nor do I. So we can move on to the next matter. Sorry, that is, I have too many papers in front of me, sorry. 1895 Brookside Boulevard, Mr. Spacek, whenever you are ready.
Thank you very much. We are looking at file number 22-3387. This is 1895 Brookside Boulevard. We have a 2023 value of, the roll number 14100128045. This has a 2023 value of $7,659,000. Again, we have a Peterbilt semi-truck dealership and repair. You can see on page 2 the layout of it at the corner of Inkster Boulevard and Brookside Boulevard. We have a originally built 2004 property. It's had some additions over the years. They've added a service bay in 2006 on one side, like a garage area, and they've slowly made it to what it is today. And you'll see, and what I included here on the body, you can see on the bottom of page, sorry, I'll go over this quickly. I'll take a step back. We have 55,270 leasable square feet. This is again main floor and mezzanine space. And what I included when I was looking through this, just the Google Street View of page 3, you can see it's at the end of this was in June of 2022. So they are doing an extension. I'm not sure when it's completed. I'm not sure what that entails with, a possible sup on this one. But they are close to adding a new, another 17,000 square feet and more mezz from my understanding. So, again, that's not included in this value.
What page was that?
Just at the bottom of page 3, you can see where they're expanding, the middle of page 3. This is from June in the middle of the summer. So they took out a permit to expand. And I'm just saying this because when I was going through it, I'm trying to figure out in my head how much of an effect it has on when a sup would be sent out, because I don't know when it was completed. That's how far it was in June. And so I'm assuming there's going to be a supplemental notice. And
I see. Yeah.
So, and on the last page of my brief, I've just included the permit. So again, I think I'm pretty confident this kind of addition, there will be a sup. Again, that will all be completed once we figure out when it's completed and all that. But as of now, we have 55,000 square feet of leasable area. And if you turn to page 5, you'll see we have, again, very similar work up to all of our dealerships today. 55,270 square feet at $9.82. We have 2% vacancy, 3% expenses, $6 shortfall, and an overall capitalization of 6.65. And that's where we get that total value of $7,659,000. Again, same comparables going forward, none on Brookside. Again, semi dealership on the outskirts of town. Different than the retail warehouses I provided. But again, that's one of the issues we'll hopefully have looked at going forward. And page 10 going forward is the income expense mailer. They are showing a leasable area of 47,490. But again, the way we include the mezzanine space, we're at a total of 55,270. And yeah, that is my presentation. If you have any questions, please let me know. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Neufeld, any questions?
Yes. Now you've got 55,000 leasable.
Yes.
But I know that the owner put a fair bit less than that. What was it?
47,490 is reported on this mailer.
Right. And the difference would likely be mezzanine. Is that?
Yeah, there is mezzanine listed, and there's been additions to the mezzanine over the years. Like the mezzanine was expanded, so I'm going to assume that's what the difference is. But again, I don't know how they're reporting their leasable exactly.
Okay, and did you have a chance to look at this site? I guess not.
I haven't been to it, no.
Okay. And are you aware that the mezzanine, that there are how many mezzanines there are?
No, not exactly, not off the top of my head.
Okay, and the major mezzanine is in a part opened to completely open. You classify that as mezzanine?
Yeah, it seems to be classified as mezzanine. Like it looks like it's common with these with the workshops, especially to have like mezzanine space for the tools and stuff. That seems to be pretty common.
Okay, but you haven't seen it.
No, I haven't been. Not in this one.
Okay. Sorry, I was just sidetracked for a second. I was just trying to find something. Then the valuation then in page 5 is then all done by the model.
Yes.
And again, the question on cap rates, there's no category for truck dealerships anywhere, is there?
No.
Why would this property, which is a newer truck dealership, be at $982 a square foot, and the last property, which was an older truck dealership, which is both essentially repair facilities, why would it be at, I think it was $13?
Again, I'm not sure on the size of the last one exactly, but it can be for a number of reasons, whether that be it being put as slightly inferior on ours and maybe the other one isn't, or once we have a larger size and square footage, that can lead to a lower rent. But the exact details of why the difference between the two, I'm not certain.
Okay. And the comps again, I guess it's the same issue.
Yes.
Okay. Was there any consideration to considering? I'm trying to look at your best overhead on top of page 2. I guess you don't have a very good zoom in on it, but the lot that's on Inkster immediately to the east of this property, you're aware that that's part of the operation?
No, just off the top of my head, no.
Okay. Those are my questions. Thanks.
Thank you. Mr. Mann, any questions?
Just on the question with respect to the land plan area at 8.96, that seems significantly higher than the one at 23 Open Point Highway. Was there any consideration with respect to the extra land plan area, or is that is that taken into account via the modeling?
You know what, the land to plan ratio, from my understanding, doesn't actually affect the value. It's if it was much larger, I think 8-to-1 is pretty reasonable. You'll see it at other dealerships. But this, once you get past that, you might start to look at they're having extra land or excess land or surplus land. But in this one, that 8-to-1 is kind of, especially in this location, reasonable. And then no, I don't believe evaluation. There's nothing added for the land, and then how that affects the value, I don't think there is an effect on it, if that makes sense. Our model's not changing the rent because of that land.
That was my only question.
Thank you very much. Mr. McIntyre?
I have no questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Nor do I. Okay, Mr. Neufeld, please proceed.
Thank you. It's kind of a rush when these things get done over Christmas, and I'm missing half the stuff that's supposed to be in here. The issue on the size of the property is I don't think first of all, we got our number from the plan area from the construction plans when they built their first edition, and those were sent to the city. So 48,061 square feet is the plan area from the contractor, not 50,000. And then the other issue, I should say that this was based on, if you look at our picture on, it's a sort of a T-shaped building. It's the eastern portion was added on, and that became 48,061. And that's what the owner has put it at 47,490. And I don't know why they did that, because the plans clearly state 48,061. I was just looking for them. The mezzanines, there's one in the building, and what it is, it's where the parts department joins the service bay, and there's some mezzanine offices, and they are separately demised, so they would be considered rentable. And so we've included those. They measure at 1,136 square feet, and in our picture, it's right where the red dot is. It runs across the building. So it's for the supervisor, I guess, to sit and watch the repair going on. The part that's not leasable is they have what's called a secure parts storage, and it's got plywood demising walls to keep their expensive parts in play, and the roof is reinforced enough for more storage. It's comparable to racking. There's no power up there. There's lights. There's no water up there. There's no human habitation. There's nothing there at all. There's a chain link fence around the outside, and we should have given you pictures on it, and I can't find them right now. Been in there built many times. So that's our difference on the plans and on the sizing of it. And this again these are issues we bring up as earlier with the Ford dealership. We provide the plans to the city, and they have not made their workups, and they've never been acted on. They agree in hearings because when the plans get submitted, but I guess they haven't followed up with it. So we'll have to deal with that issue again. Vacancy concept the same, everything's the same workup, cap rate of 7.5. And again, this is to deal with a location, a building that's custom designed for a truck repair facility. And it's not saying it's not a good business. Now, in the previous one, we had talked about an $8 rent because it was a bit older and had less land. This one is newer and has more land, and land translates into value for vehicle maneuverability. And it's got a better location, and it has an in-out on Inkster, only of course eastbound, and a full north and southbound out on Brookside. So it's a good corner location for a truck dealership. Now, just to give you an idea on, we talk about vehicle dealerships. There are some years when they don't sell a single new truck because that's not the nature of their business. It's in service. You can just look at the service base, and it's in leasing. It's in servicing lease deals that get done by the factory, and then they come to the dealership for the required service. So it's not the same concept. It's not, I want to buy a new truck. Let's go shop around and kick some tires in the showroom. That's not the way these things work. Now, there are used truck sales as well, and they would end up being like local users, local truckers would be buying them, and that is a feature of their business as well. The number we had worked out is also in recognition of the lot next door, and our picture was cut off. In our picture on the right eastern boundary of the subject, where the blue line is, there's a shared access with the lot at, I think it's, just trying to remember the address on Inkster. It's adjoined, and you can see that the pavement spreads over, and they're using it for parking because they need to. That assessment is $638,000, and I do not believe that changed. I think that's been heard already. There was, I could just double check that because I don't want to, Doug. Oh, yeah, it was 638,000. Yeah, okay, the right number in there. So that should be the adjoining lot and in use for this indicates a value of $4,159,000. And again, as far as the rents go, the old site across the street, the old Peterbilt site, which is renting at $8, it is superior to that site. And there aren't too many superior service locations in the city. And so that was a subjective call to go higher than that particular one. That's my presentation.
Thank you very much. Mr. Spacek, do you have any questions for Mr. Neufeld?
I have no questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mann.
A couple questions with respect to the additional land adjacent to it on Inkster. That's owned by the same entity?
Yes, it is.
And
Do it.
that was assessed just on the square footage, or was there,
No, it was just on square footage.
thank you, I have nothing further.
Thank you, Mr. McIntyre.
I have no questions, thank you.
Thank you, nor do I. Is there a need for summation from either party?
No summation, thank you.
Yeah, I was just going to say that, you know, in terms of sales, there was a sale on this at $3 million, but we're not relying on that either because, again, it's the same concept all around with these sales. They're just not, whether they're too low or too high, they're not ones we rely on. 3.3 million, I believe. Thank you. That's all I had to add.
Okay, thank you very much. Mr. Spacek, I am mindful of your comments that you have to relocate at 12:30. Can we do one more and then will that be enough time for you to find a new space?
Yeah, the next one will be pretty quick, and then if we can move spaces, that'd be great, just so the next person can get it.
Perfect. Okay, thank you. So then we will move on to 1370 Dugald Road, please. Please proceed.
Thank you. We are looking at file number 22-3799. We have roll number 0609346217. This is located at 1370 Dugald Road. We have a 2023 value of $2,867,000. And again, this is a RV dealership service center. It was originally built 1974. There have been, they added a wash bay at the back of the building, from my understanding, around 2003. But we have an effective year of 1979 on this property. We have a leasable area of 20,672. And if you can see what the layout of this land on page 2, on Dugald, you can see I've included a picture of the front of the building, and then from the top you can see where they store all the campers and trailers, and where you can see them. And again, it's a dealership for campers and RVs. Mainly, you see page 4. We have a 20,652 square foot building with a rate of $10.13. We have our standard parameters down to the cap rate of 6.85%, and that's where you get that total value of $2,867,000. Again, same comparables used for the wide range of dealerships we're looking at today, but again, these ones out on Dugald and on Route 9, you're not getting too many retail warehouses near them. But again, my closest comparable is at 1080 Nairn Street, comparable number 4. Again, this was a Salvation Army that was 14,000 square feet, leased at $14. And I will put one note on this one. If we turn to the last page of my brief, page 12, the income and expense mailer sent in by the owner works out. They're paying a net lease at this one. So again, there is a lease in place on this property for the camping world, and it's at $8.72 a square foot, and that lease runs from 2020 to 2025. So again, I believe that's all the relevant information I have on this one. If you have any questions, please let me know. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Neufeld. Any questions?
Yes. Have you been in this building either?
No, I've never been there.
Okay, and you know how? I'm just wondering how the effective year changed. I'm gonna lead you on and say it was probably additions.
Yeah, like I know they added the most recent one I went back to see was they added a wash bay at the back for the RVs. I think that was the most recent one in 2003, and I'm not sure what brought it up 5 years in effective years.
And this was valued as a vehicle dealership?
Yes, it's the same VCD.
And same issue with the rents. There's no Dugald rents here for big box or anything like that.
Yeah, exactly.
It's in an area that's completely surrounded by industrial users. I mean, wouldn't you think an industrial rent might be more appropriate?
I mean, yeah, we have to. I agree that it is surrounded by industrial. Down Dugald, and so we had that truck dealership for the one thing, so it's not unheard of to have these selling vehicles out here. But again, this is a camper one. It's pretty unique not in huge disagreement. It's at that $10.13, which is at the lower range for our dealerships, trying to represent that it's, off the beaten track.
Okay. Sorry. And no cap rates for RV dealerships, I suppose,
No.
or rents.
No.
Okay. And did you not consider the paid rent as reported?
Again, I don't just adjust it to the actual rent in place. We're using the market rents, but again, this one is at 872. It looks like a 5-year lease in place.
And in this case, the plan area 19544 and the additional space is mezzanine.
Yes, I will assume there's a small amount of mezzanine.
Any idea what the ceiling height is in there?
For the whole building?
No, in the
looks like it's
mezzanine.
No, I don't know what the mezz space is like.
Those are my questions.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mann.
No, I don't have any.
Thank you, Mr. McIntyre.
I have questions. Thank you.
Thank you, nor do I. So, Mr. Neufeld, please proceed.
Thank you. We're using the paid rent here, and you can see that the calculation is slightly different. We're only using the plan area, but we're using the dollar amount. We just don't believe that. I don't believe that the mezzanine is remotely rentable. I've been in there numerous times, and it's it's one of these spaces that's on a pitched roof that goes from about 5 feet to 6.5 feet in height, and you go up by stairs. This isn't rentable space. It's just like having a parcel shelf. When I make these comments about mezzanine, I'm living up to a standard, which is the ones that appraisers and brokers have to use. You do not report mezzanine space that is not marketable, and I'm respective of the time here. I do have pictures of all the mezzanines I've spoken to today, and I'm hoping that you just take my word for it, but I could stall proceedings and send you my pictures, which I've found. Either way is fine with me.
Well, we'll take your word for it.
Okay.
It's fine.
Now, the rent rate was actually set by me, and they hired me because there was some common people owning and operating. How does this work? The spouses of some of the owners were operating, but it's a family situation. So I was hired to set the rent, and I did an appraisal review of what it should be for, and both sides were pleased with the number. And I'm still pleased with the number. It's a very fair number. It's not a good building. It's just a cheap, what do they call, pole frame construction. And it's got enough clear space to bring in the RVs. And their main business, incidentally, is they're the only MPI accredited RV repair shop. At least that's the last I'd heard. I don't know unless someone else has gotten a recent accreditation. So this is a body shop, basically a glorified body shop. And when you look at the body shop rents, which we've been through earlier today, we're bang on the money here for what the value is. It's got a large land ratio, but it's rearage land. And they do rent the lot next door and pay additionally for it. It's assessed separately, so it's not part of this transaction. So they are land efficient for their use, which is RV dealership. Same concept in vacancy and the shortfall again, and the capitalization rate is based on what I've been talking about. Is it's relatively simple, inexpensive construction. Most car dealerships will be built either with steel frame or with metal pre-engineered buildings. They don't build them full frame, and so it's a very massive quality difference on this particular site. And locationally, of course, it's on Dugald. It's in an industrial neighborhood. There are lots of body shops on Dugald, and that's what we were focusing on. I think the numbers was very, very common sense at 2,020,000. Thank you. That's my presentation.
Thank you very much. Mr. Spacek, do you have any questions for Mr. Neufeld?
I have no questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Mann?
No, I don't. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. McIntyre?
I have no questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Nor do I. Is there a need for summary from either party?
No, thank you.
No, I'm good, thanks.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so Mr. Spacek needs to relocate. So how much time?
Just like 5 minutes, honestly. It should be all good to go. I can't imagine.
Okay, so
I can email if there's any issues.
yeah, when somebody says 5 minutes, let's do 10 just to be safe. Why don't we all reconvene in 10 minutes then?
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you. Welcome back, everybody. The next matter on the docket is 1400 Kenniston Boulevard. Mr. Spacek, please proceed.
Thank you very much. We are at 1400 Kenniston. This is file number 222606. We have a roll number 100067767070. Address is 1400 Kenniston Boulevard. We have a 2023 value of $10,818,000. This is a Mercedes-Benz dealership built in 2015. This has a leasable area of 52,837, and that includes the upper floor space of 219 square feet at $15.06, and a basement space of 16,618 square feet at $12.09. If you look at my page 2, you can see exactly where it's located on Kenniston. You can see the front street view picture of it below, get an idea of how it looks. And just once we get there, I've also included a few pictures at the bottom of the page just to see the basement space and the main floor. If we turn to my page 4, we have a workup as similar to all the other properties today, but this one's split up between above ground and below ground. So you can see the standard finish main floor, upper area 36,219 at $15.06, and then we have basement leasable 16,618 suite at $12.09 again. We have a standard vacancy loss of 2%, expenses at 3%, shortfall at $6, and an overall capitalization rate on this property at 6.5%. That's where we get the total $10,818,000. Again, on page 5, retail warehouse comparables. In this case, down the street from, close by, we have Sterling Lion, so comparables 24 to 28. We have some comparables ranging from $17 to $22. Again, 16 to 23,000 square foot in space. They're older leases when the properties opened in 2013, but they are 10 to 15-year leases. So again, they are all in place as of the reference date, and that's just what a newer retail warehouse goes for. Not saying it's exactly the same as a dealership, but again, these are properties such as Dollarama, the Good Life Fitness, and Struck Tube, and River City Sports. So those are the kind of tenants in those larger buildings, just to give you an idea of what that goes for. Again, owner occupied, page 9 going forward for the mailer, so no good information there, but again, they are owner occupied. And then pages 15 and 16 just included a few pictures that I found online just to give you an idea of what the main floor and mezz space upstairs is like, and then what the basement space is like as well that we're valuing. So that is my presentation. If you have any questions, please let me know. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Neufeld, any questions? You're on mute. There you go. Okay.
And there's a difference here on dimensions as well. Did you review the plans?
No, I didn't.
Okay.
No, I've never had this one before.
Okay. And you don't know anything where this upper level space is?
Sorry, am I what?
Where the upper level space is located?
Just from the picture on page 15, I have like the office above the showroom there, and then I don't know what else is included in the mezz space.
Okay. The land picture on page 2, fairly irregular land configuration. Does the model address this?
No, this is not taken into account for the value other than the square footage of the difference between upper and lower space. That's it.
Okay. And the sale on page 3, assume that's for land only?
Yeah, I would make that assumption. That's what was reported in 2014 for the sale.
Page 4, this is all done by the model?
Yes, true.
Where are your basement rents?
Oh, I haven't included basement, car storage rents. I don't believe there are any. It's just showing the basement space, and the model is generating $12 per basement finish.
Well, is it classified? How is it classified in your model? I think you characterize it fairly nicely. Car storage. Is that how it's put into the model?
Again, C9 basement leasable is our standard basement leasable space. This can be office, this can be restaurant in the basement. In some places, it can be a wide range of uses for basement.
Okay. These pictures, roughly when were they taken?
I don't know the exact year. Sometime after it was opened in 2015, but the exact date I don't have.
Okay. And okay, so page 15 is the upper level, and page 16 is the basement.
Yeah.
I take it you haven't been in their place either?
No, I haven't been to the dealership.
Those are my questions. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Mr. Mann, do you have any questions?
I do not. Thank you.
Mr. McIntyre?
I have no questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Nor do I. So, Mr. Neufeld, please proceed.
Thank you. For the subject property, I'm just going to kind of follow this in order here, because 3.3 acres is very, very small size. And when they originally moved to this site, in 2016, they came from 2554 Portage, which I've quoted earlier, was their last location, which even had less land. And as of right now, the land is not adequate. For a while, they were coincidentally owned by the same people at 1895 Brookside. So for a while, they had a 1 acre compound on that site. Since then, they've purchased another lot on Lawson Crescent and also next door, and the body shop next door, 2 lots, I should say, the body shop next door, and then another one on Lawson, to continue to try to store vehicles. They're up to, I think, about 5 acres of land, and it's just not adequate anymore. So that would be a negative factor. And of course, the land is got a strange configuration. It's actually one of the few pieces of users that can take advantage of a regular lot by having a car line up around the side for display. But it's not good for alternate uses, and that's a business focused usage. As I mentioned earlier on the rents, we were banding together, and we're using 11, 12, and 13, and we did put 13 as the highest rent on the main floor area, and that includes the showroom and the drive-through. The basement area is a parking garage. There's nothing glamorous about it. It's they've got some customers' cars parked on consignment and some higher value cars that they don't leave outside. And we used a $5 rent on that as a nominal rent for basement space. It's not separately demisable, and it would never be. It's part of an accessory use to the main building. But you can see from the pictures that this isn't finished space. This isn't something that you go to the market and say, I've got $12 rents for your basement. Come and rent it for me. You're not going to get it. It'd be more comparable to long-term car storage parking rents that you would see in some of the older industrial buildings in St. James and downtown. And I think that the $5 is fair. And I think just want to see if we put in any basement rents here ourselves. If we do have basement rents, they tend to be $4 and $5. Now we're treating the second level where it's a mezzanine. It overlooks the main area, and it's glassed in. It's offices, and the point is, it's just not productive space. If you wanted to even out the upper level space, the rate would be. I think we had worked this out earlier. We were just trying to show a differentiation of upper level to main level, I can't even do math anymore. I'm sorry. It's going to be $12 a foot for the combination of the upper and the main, but we're just breaking it out on this basis. Vacancy, same concept, non-recoverables, shortfall. Now, the image package for Mercedes is much higher than most. It's about 2.7 million. They're much stricter on the application of the image package, not just on the initial style of the package, but also the when it's going to be turned over. And their requirements for the image package specify specific product rather than slate gray ceramic. It's a specific one, and that's just the nature of the dealership. Now, in terms of value, that's not a positive nor a negative. It's just an explanation of what goes into building these things. That the image package, which is cosmetic and replaceable, is part of a car dealership, and you have to consider that the non-recoverable on this. In 7 years' time, they're going to have to spend another $1.5 million to go with the new Mercedes package. If you're going to appraise somebody or assess somebody as an automobile dealership, you've got to take everything that's included in there, not just ignore it and say it's retail. It's not retail. The dimensions, and I sent this in as rebuttal because I actually had it at my fingertips. It's the same process I do with all of these. I have the plans, and I told you today I've sent in plans for Brookside, for Main Street, for I forgot the other one I sent in. When they come in, we send them in, and then the city assessment tends to default to what's in their system, and these were not my measurements; they are the contractor's measurements. Now, the discrepancy in the mezzanine here is, I'll show you the picture. This time we've got it on page 8. Bottom of page 8, that's the mezzanine that they're assessing at, what was their rate? $15 a foot, where the compressor and the hot water tank. And the access to it is its location is on page 9. It's located above a machine bay and up the stairs. This isn't $15 space. This is nothing space. This is not rentable space. It's you may as well just call it racking. Now, the other part where we know there's an error here, and on page 10, the parts area is racked. And this is definitely not rentable area because it's a rack. And So that was me up there. Those are my shoes on the bottom of page 11, taking pictures through the holes in the rack. And this is what the discrepancy is. So we took measurements from the plans. And then, of course, the page 7 is the bottom page 7 is the downstairs parking area. It's not open to the public either. And you got to go down there with somebody because you're not allowed to be unattended down there because of carbon monoxide. I mean, I don't get it why anyone thinks that rentable space where you got carbon monoxide being generated is nice rentable space. It's not. It's grass. So the number, the issues I brought up, it's a build-to-suit property. This particular property would have an incredibly difficult time on an alternative use because of all the customization that was required for Mercedes and the way it's set up. The cap rate we believe would be about 7.25 on ongoing as a car dealership, although the land is limited and the location is great. Now, a remark on location: auto dealers are now this was obviously the dealer agreed with the manufacturer that they should be moving out to Kenaston, but that's not always the case. The manufacturer says go where we want. This is where your market says you're supposed to go, and if you don't go, we'll give a dealership to somebody else who will go. That's the nature of this business. And as you can see with the co-location, you've got now Land Rover and Lexus and I think Jaguar down the road and Audi nearby. This is where they now want them to be located. So when you start chasing sales and other issues like that, it's irrelevant because these are all forced purchase decisions. I think that this is a very, very good workup on the property and very fair. And I know we're not supposed to talk about other assessments, but I know that Jaguar got $12 next door for rent and a 7.25% cap. Thank you. Just slip that in.
Thank you, Mr. Neufeld. Okay, Mr. Spacek, do you have any questions for Mr. Neufeld?
I have no questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mann.
Just one with respect to location and the how that relates to the cap rate. I think in the other materials, this is described as being part of the luxury corridor on Kenaston for like a destination shopping for luxury cars. Would that be fair to say?
Yeah, that's where the manufacturers have instructed their dealers to go, or that's where they want them to be placed. Yes.
Okay. I'm just looking at the rest of the article. It stands for itself. I'm not going to ask any questions on it. Thank you. I have nothing further.
Thank you, Mr. McIntyre. Any questions?
I have no questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Nor do I. Thank you. Is there a need for summary from either party?
No, thank you.
Yes, just very briefly. And it's a very interesting point that the question brought up. And I've been doing automobile dealership valuation and tax appeals for now 25 years. And the first decision I ever had was at the municipal board on shifting to income approach. And then after that, dealing with the condominium values. And then, but the issue we've always had all along is that, yes, there's nice, bright, shiny objects in the showroom, but they're not being assessed. It's the building. And forget about what you're selling. What do you do with the building when you put it on the market? That's how we get real estate value. We're not interested in use value or car dealership value. And that's what is wrong about the VCD classification. There shouldn't even exist. It should just be what can this do when it's put back onto the market? Not retail strictly, because you got a garage in the back, and some places a body shop. You got to spend money then, millions, to convert it, to make it happen. I think what we've done as an industry, the people who work in this field have taken very good approaches to it, and I'm going to talk about other assessments, and then you're going to get rid of me. The generally,
we're not dealing with other assessments today. We're dealing with this one specifically, and it's already 12:38. So I'm.
But I'll get my 15 seconds in, and I'll go away. These majority have been resolved at a sensible amount, and then there's some lingering appeals on it. And I think that what I sent in on rebuttal shows you the direction it's going at, and I mean nothing by it other than let's just resolve these matters now. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Neufeld. All right. The next matter on the docket is 3965 Portage Avenue, Unit 90.
See, that's
Mr. Smith.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So can you please?
I'm sure he's been watching this all morning.
There he is. Well, good morning, good afternoon, Mr. Neufeld. Have a good day. Okay. Hello, Mr. Smith.
Hello, can you hear me?
We can now, yes. Hello.
Hello.
I think your camera is a little misdirected.
All right. Try
There we go. Hello.
Hello.
Mr. Applicant? Sorry? Oh,
Yes,
sorry.
could you
I'm
please
sorry.
swear?
Go ahead.
Could you please swear in Mr. Smith?
Okay, sorry about that. Mr. Applicant, can you please state your full name?
Trevor Smith.
Do you affirm that the evidence you're about to give at this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, Mr. Spacek, please proceed.
Thank you very much. We are at file number 22-3491, roll number 07569033800. This is Unit 90, 3965 Portage Avenue. Again, this property was recently purchased, and we have a new owner. So just at the start of it all, there is no income and expense mailer. And again, when ownership changes in between, when we do these appeals in the reference here, we do not, we will not penalize for the new owner not having the information from the old owner. So again, that's why there's no mailer, and that's why there's no request for non-compliance. So just to get that out of the way early, we have an actual built dealership in 1999. It is valued in 2023 at $7,005,000. We have a leasable area of 33,959. Again, this is a Dodge Chrysler Jeep dealership located in the Auto Mall off of Portage and the Perimeter. You can see on page 2, I've included a street view picture, very similar to a lot of the dealerships we've looked at today. Again, turning to page 4, we can see the valuation for this property. This is 33,959 square feet for the whole dealership at $1,434 a square foot. We have 2% vacancy, 3% expenses, $6 shortfall, and a 6.55% cap to give us that total value of $7,005,000. Again, the comparables I've used, again, retail, large, big box stores. Again, this is pretty close to one of the ones we looked at today, but Mr. Smith wasn't here. So if we just look at comparable, for example, comparable 18, 3673 Portage. This was the sport check we looked at, 20,000 square feet at 1975. Again, not trying to say it is a dealership, but then that is what a large retail big box store leases out for at the end of Portage and the Perimeter. Again, there's no mailer to go over in this one as it wasn't sent in because of the new owner. So that is all I have today. If you have any questions, please let me know. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Smith, do you have any questions for Mr. Spacek?
I do, and I'll try and be efficient in my questioning because you've obviously heard a lot of information already today. But I do have a number of questions that I need to get out. So given workload at the city, I assume you haven't had a chance to inspect the property?
No, I've never been to this one.
Okay, and the valuation shown on your page number 4, that is all model driven?
Yes, correct.
And you, of course, don't do the model, so you're not sure of the detail behind how the rental rate is selected or the other components, I gather?
True.
Just bear with me for a moment here. As I think the earlier appellant had mentioned there, and I won't get into this in any detail, but there is a process at the municipal board going on now where they're looking at 3 different categorizations for vehicle dealerships. One of those being condominium ownership. Was that factored into the valuation model at all? Do you know?
No, nothing's been changed based on the location of this dealership.
Okay. And when we look at your page number 5, so the rental comparables, is it fair to say that these would be the same retail rental comparables that I would have seen in all of the other vehicle dealerships that I would have
yes, true.
on? Okay. So in looking at these rental comparables, again, would it be fair to say that they are centered on 5 power center nodes? Those being number 1, Polo Park, number 2, the IKEA Seasons of Tuxedo location, number 3, the Leela and McPhillips / Garden City location, number 4, Regent and Lagimodiere Power Center node, and then number 5, Keniston and McGilvery Power Center node?
Yes, very true.
Okay, and the types of tenants that we're looking at here, they're typically national and or international level big box retail, correct?
Yes, most commonly.
So we would be looking at tenancies such as, bear with me for a moment, Giant Tiger, Staples, Ashley Home, Michaels, Lazy Boy, Bouclair, Dollarama, Pier 1, EQ3, Bed Bath & Beyond, Mark's Work Warehouse, tenants of that nature?
True.
Okay. I believe those are all of my questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Mann, do you have any questions?
No, I don't. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. McIntyre?
I have no questions, thank you.
Thank you, nor do I. So Mr. Smith, please proceed with your presentation.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So I'll apologize to start with for my scratchiness of my voice if it comes in and out. I have caught the cold that everybody else seems to have these days, so we're all fighting that. So the subject property that we're looking at today is Unit 90, 3965 Portage Avenue. This is now the Birchwood Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram location. It's located in the Point West Auto Park on the west side of the perimeter of the city of Winnipeg. And there's a number of points that I would emphasize for the panel members to keep in mind here as we go through this. Number 1, there are restrictions based on the zoning agreement and development agreement for the subject property between the overall condominium corporation and the city of Winnipeg when Point West was developed, such that the properties in the condominium corporation area itself are restricted exclusively to the use of automotive sales and repair. So they cannot be used for any other retail or any other use outside of automotive sales and repair specifically. I'll get into that in a bit more detail. Second point, and not a minor one, but not the one to focus your main attention on, is an infrastructure component. As part of the development agreement with the City of Winnipeg, the developer and ultimate owner of the property, through the development agreement, became responsible for the construction initially of all of the typical infrastructure components that a property owner in the City of Winnipeg would have, that being your roadways, your land drainage, your lighting, all of the typical standard infrastructure components that a normal property owner has available to them at the edge of their property. In the case of the Point West Auto Park, and this is the difference with the condominium corporation, why it's separated out by the municipal board into its own category, is that under this agreement, the condo corporation itself is responsible for A, constructing those in the first place, B, maintaining them on an annual basis, so plowing the roadways, doing any basic repair that needs to be done, changing lights, all of the things that one would typically have to, that the city would typically do, such as plowing your streets, maintaining drainage, etc. And then ultimately, number three, they're responsible for the replacement of that infrastructure component over time. So that being replacement of the roadway as it wears, redoing drainage if that's required, etc., etc. Now, the difference between this and a normal location is quite stark. If you have a location on Henderson Highway or St. Mary's Road or wherever your location typically is, fronting on a normal commercial roadway, your responsibility ends at the edge of your property. You do not have to plow the St. Mary's Road out front of your property. You do not have to repair that roadway. You don't have to change the lights if they go out on the street. You don't have to maintain the sewer system, et cetera, et cetera. Your taxes go to pay that, of course, and to have that done, but you're not directly responsible for that. In the case of the Point West Auto Park and the condominium corporation, they are responsible for all of that ongoing infrastructure costs. There being two points to it: your annual maintenance and your ongoing, your ultimate replacement cost of that infrastructure component. Now, there's two points to this. There is, as is frequently mentioned, and I'm not sure if I included it in here, a municipal board decision regarding this specific property, Unit 90 at 3965 Portage Avenue, in which that particular valuation wrinkle was considered and determined to be accurate by the municipal board, and they did apply those infrastructure costs in their order that came out. So they allowed for annual maintenance and ongoing replacement cost of those infrastructure costs. Additionally, there is another situation in the city itself, that being virtually identical situation, 1301 Kenniston Boulevard. Also a condominium corporation in which the city of Winnipeg does allow for the infrastructure costs in their valuation model for that particular development. Now, again, it is a condominium corporation, and they are responsible for these costs at that particular site. And the city has, in this instance, allowed for those costs in their valuation model. Now, clearly, this is an equity issue. In that you can't treat one site with the exact same situation in an entirely different manner than you treat another one. Now, one is a flex warehouse development, so it's under the industrial wing. This is automobile dealership, so it's under the office wing of the assessment department. So perhaps they aren't talking internally with regard to those, but there is a distinct gap there between how identical properties are being treated. So I will get to that as we move forward, and I will delve into our brief here. And again, I'll try and be as efficient as I can. So subject property, Unit 90, originally built in 1999. There was an addition done to the property in 2016. Sits on a relatively small lot of 4.66 acres. Pardon me. And we have, again, a relatively small land to plan area ratio of 6.88 to 1 for the subject property. Typically, as you'll already have heard, we're looking for significantly more land than the subject property has. Birchwood indeed has to have off-site parking in order to store their vehicles for sale. You need that additional land for a number of reasons, that being a storage of new automobiles on site for sale. You need parking for customers. You need storage on site for vehicles that are in for service, and also for staff as well as circulation. So relatively small amount of land in order to service the needs here, well below the typical ratio that you look for auto dealerships. The leasable area for the subject property is stated as 33,959 square feet. I wasn't able to confirm this in the limited amount of time that I had available to me, nor was I able to look at plans for the property and break it out according to mezzanine space and main floor space, etc. What I can tell you is that the property, and I'm familiar with all of the dealers in the auto park, and of course quite a few others in the Birchwood holdings. This particular property I would term as being not, and again, we're not looking at the shininess of the properties to determine what the potential rent should be necessarily, but this particular property is a bit dated. And has a few aspects that make it less optimal than some of the others, certainly in the auto park, or others that out in the remainder of the market. So let's look at some photos beginning on page 4 to the exterior here. There's the front entrance as well as the service bay on the bottom of page 4. If we move inside, you can see the drop ceiling that stands out right away. This is a very old presentation area, essentially, with the drop ceiling being at the level that you see, rather than the grander entrances that you'll see in newer dealerships. One side additional display area shown at the bottom of page 5. It indeed, again, has a higher ceiling, but again, you're looking at that same tile ceiling, etc. Pretty basic. The main floor office area is shown on page 6. Again, a little older and a little tireder, a little more plain than what you see for new dealerships, certainly these days. The client coffee lounge slash reception area is shown at the top of page 7. Again, probably not what one typically sees these days. Bottom of page 7, we have some repairs that are needed. That's essentially right at the front entrance of the place. And we move on to page number 8. Now, this particular property has what I would term an excess of office space over what an auto dealer would typically need. And much of it is on a mezzanine level. So I don't necessarily, I've included a lot of photos here, but not everyone to show you how you get to this. But there's a walkway partway down one of the display areas. You walk up narrow staircase, take a walkway over to where the mezzanine starts, and then mezzanine is shown at the bottom of page number 8 and the top of page number 9. So again, basic office space, but significantly overbuilt in terms of the amount of office space that one would typically need for a dealership of this type. And in fact, the vast majority of it is sitting vacant as we speak. Pardon me. The rear service area is shown at the bottom of page 9. I should also mention there is a mezzanine area for parts storage as well. So I haven't been able to delve into the overall leasable area, but again, please keep in mind these spaces exist and do form part of that overall number. And what would an appropriate market rental rate be for such aspects of the property? So let's move forward onto my page number 10. Again, I've mentioned the infrastructure component and the reason for it. The zoning for the subject property, zone C3, in the condominium declaration itself, registered on title, use of the property is restricted specifically to automotive sales and repair, as shown on my page number 10. There are other uses that can be made of the property according to the zoning for shown on page. So what I'm going to emphasize here is the location of the property. So as I think your earlier appellant mentioned, we're in West Winnipeg here. We're not only in West Winnipeg, but we're beyond the perimeter highway, Point West being located on the northwest corner of Perimeter and Portage Avenue there. Very little development beyond this, with the exception of one residential development to the south and then some small scale commercial development along Portage Avenue to the west. And then you have Headingley significantly further out. So the only reason to come here is to shop for a car. There is no supportive retail that surrounds it to bring you to this destination. When you look at the components of the business, automotive service is obviously a significant portion of that. If you live not in St. James, but anywhere else in the city, and you buy your property from a dealer out here, are you going to be tempted to go to Point West to get your vehicle serviced and cross the city, and then have to make it back to your point of work, wherever that is, and then get back to pick up your car? Or will you choose a more convenient location? It is a significant issue there for the Point West dealers. And they make every attempt to make it as easy as possible. But I do know people I do know people tend to make the choice that's easiest for them and most convenient for them, and this is certainly not that location. So that is a significant strike against this particular property location. In terms of the marketability of it and what a tenant and or purchaser would pay either in rent or in market value on the open market. Pardon me. Moving on quickly, automotive industry review, page number 14. We're seeing changes in the automotive market. There's less of a need for bricks and mortar these days, as the shoppers are generally looking online initially to determine between what cars they're looking at, look at all of the details, and then they will, at that point, once they've determined the car that they want, go and take a test drive and essentially make their purchase at that point. So what we're seeing is less of a need for bricks and retail. The brands themselves are consolidating dealerships, so they're having less dealerships within a market, less need for, say, 5 dealers. Maybe they only need 3 or 2. And they're building bigger distribution type centers is how they're referring to them, where there's, greater amenities for the clients coming in the door, etc. And they're generally larger. In addition to that, there are other contenders entering the market. Amazon is now looking at the North American market. They're already present in the European market. This will generally, as we've seen in all of their categories, drive lower pricing, faster product delivery, etc. What we're also seeing during the COVID-19 pandemic is less of availability of automobiles themselves due to supply chain disruptions and production disruptions. There was significant lack of microchips available in order to complete cars, as well as additional parts, and this is an ongoing issue at this point as well. So there was a drop-off in the availability of cars available to be sold, and in the beginning of the COVID timeframe, we also saw significant layoffs in the automotive market itself. Moving on to my page number 15, and this is a critical component, so I'll spend a brief amount of time on this if I could. Automotive properties, automotive dealerships are special use facilities. They are not constructed or intended for the use of any other retail business to be located within that structure. And this is backed up by the literature on the particular subject. So if you look at my page 15, October 1998 article in the Appraisal Journal titled Peculiarities of Appraising Auto Dealership Facilities, it states auto dealership facilities are considered special use or special purpose properties, which means that they cannot typically be assigned other uses. And auto dealership facilities are typically constructed for a specific use and are not readily adaptable to alternative uses. So what this means essentially is that you're not going to see other retail uses locating in these specific structures because of the structure itself. So in our case, we have a zoning restriction where it can't be any other use, but additionally, none of these other retailers are going to locate in these spots, in these particular structures. If you look at the physical structure of the dealerships themselves, as stated already, you have essentially 2 components. You have the retail warehouse retail showroom / office area, which forms the front of the property, roughly 40% of the property typically. And then you have the retail service garage / industrial area, which is in the neighborhood of 60% of the property. What we see on the market, because of the special use nature, is that when there is functional obsolescence for these properties, when the brands essentially say your building no longer meets our needs, we're moving on, there's essentially 3 phases of the life of a dealership. You have your number 1, branded new auto dealership, so your Honda, your Ford, your Mazda, etc. Those then fall down the scale to a secondary use as a used auto dealership when the property is obsolete for a new brand. And then ultimately, typically, we see them become demolished and become development sites for other uses in the market. To this end, if we look at my page 15, you can see a number of examples of this particular issue. Number 1, 321 Pembina Highway, former Winnipeg Honda dealership became obsolete. They didn't actually, they were unsuccessful in getting anybody to buy it as a dealership. They couldn't get a used auto dealership into it, so ultimately it became a development site and has recently been demolished and is now being redeveloped as a multifamily property. That's out towards the end of Pembina Highway, just inside the perimeter. 1310 Regent, similarly, too small a building, and the property had to be, the structure had to be demolished and redeveloped with a new auto dealership on site. The only reason it's done as an auto dealership is that that particular owner, which is Birchwood, owns all of the contiguous land around it, so they're able to facilitate doing a new dealership on that site. 630 Portage Avenue, McNaught Pontiac Buick moved to the Waverly Auto Mall in 2003, originally on Portage Avenue as shown. Became a used auto dealership through 2012, then sat vacant for a long time, and it is now being redeveloped for multifamily. Similarly, you can go down the list here. I won't run through all of them. I'll point out one in the auto park itself, number 5 there. Not unit 100, that should be unit 20, 3965 Portage Avenue. Originally developed as a Saturn dealership, it's under 10,000 square feet. Saturn went bankrupt back in 2007 or 8, roughly. The ownership was unable to draw a mainline brand to go into that property because it was functionally obsolete. It was far too small, and they ultimately put in place a used auto dealership selling trucks, and now it is a finance center selling used autos out of that location. There's more examples, but this essentially shows you the structure of the lifespan of these particular properties. What I'm going to point out, and this is critical to the rental rate analysis, is on my page number 16, and I'm referring to the city's rental rate study. None of the retailers that are in these big box power centers, are able to locate in an auto dealership, but B, nor would they locate in an auto dealership because they're locating in their power center nodes for a reason, that being the aggregate business that is driven by having a significant base of retailers in one single location, providing the convenience for the shoppers, the significant parking that's available for them, the ideal locations, the ease of shopping between them, et cetera, et cetera. All of this drives them to locate together. The developers build the developments as they do so that they can drive interest from these retailers. And of course, that drives higher rents because they're in prime locations. They're all located side by side in these centers, and all of that enables those businesses to do more business, but it also enables the owners to charge more rent for them to locate in those properties. Structurally, if you look at page 16, there's an example. One of the city's comparables, this being Michael's on St. James Street. It's shown at the top of the page and then the bottom of the page where it says 840 St. James Street towards the top of that second photo. The bulk of these big box stores is selling floor. So you're looking at, call it roughly 90% selling floor, 10% warehouse, shipping, loading at the rear. And a good example of this is this Michael's. You can see the very small loading area on the back side of it there, and the minimal strip that would be the warehousing at the back. So that's what they're looking for. They want the most floor area that they can have to sell their space. If you look at an auto dealer, you have showroom at the front, yes. Part of that being office space, part of it being parts, part of it being customer lounge, mezzanine office, et cetera, et cetera. And then you have essentially an industrial building at the back with concrete floors, drainage, hoists, et cetera, et cetera. Really not the same thing, and they would not locate in the same areas or in these properties. Let's move on to the valuation itself. So just going to ask for your patience for a minute. All right, sorry about that. So as has already been mentioned, I'm sure by the appellant and the assessor, we don't have any arm's length leases on the marketplace for auto dealerships to refer to. So we need to come up with the most appropriate model for valuing these. And as I'm sure Mr. Neufeld probably referred to, we are essentially looking at the components of the property. So you have a front retail showroom area with office associated with it. And then you have a rear service garage / industrial area. So that's essentially the split of the building. The most appropriate method of valuing it is what would each of those components rent for on the on the market. So that's the analysis that we have done here. I have provided automotive service garage rents for you on my page number 18 and 19. And the one single automotive dealership rent that is out there. And if we look at these beginning on page number 18, you can see that typically they're located in good locations, main thoroughfares, Pembina Highway, Scurfield, slightly off of Waverly. We have Osborne, St. Anne's, Pembina Highway, Nairn, Portage Avenue, and Waverly. The challenge with the service garages is that typically we're looking at areas that will be significantly, or properties that will be significantly smaller than the component of the car dealership that is devoted to that. So you can see that our range is between, kind of a low of 2,700 square feet with a lot of properties in that, call it 3,000 to 5,000 or 6,000 square foot area. That's typically what your auto repair service garage will be versus whatever the overall service garage area of the subject or comparable dealers would be probably in the neighborhood of 16 to 18,000 square feet. I will point out a number of these for you just to wrap your head around. So we have at the high end, $13 per square foot. This is my comp number 5, 123 Fort. This is right downtown, just north of Broadway, between Broadway and the next cross street. And this is a Fountain Tire location, 2018 lease for just under 9,000 square feet at $13 a square foot. So if you look at where this is and the ease and availability of clients, $13 is the high end of the market, far and away. You can go downtown to your office job, drop your car off, and make it back there easily after work. Similarly, 960 Pembina Highway, 2018 lease at $12.75 per square foot. Excellent location. And the bulk of the rental rates for the newer ones are falling in that kind of 9, 10, 11, maybe $12 per square foot for these significantly smaller service garages. Now, we look on to my page number 19. I will point out number 20. This is the Not Automotive location. They are on the southeast corner of Waverly and McGilvery. They are a vehicle dealership, 27,603 square feet, so very significant size. And they have a 2018 lease at a rate of $6.85 per square foot. Now, there is some investment in the build out, or I believe the investment in the the build out of that space was done by the tenant. But that again is simply the showroom area. The rear is display and is not the same level as the front, but they're paying $6.85 per square foot there. Our range is again typically in that 9 to very high end of $12 per square foot for vehicle service garage. I've not presented industrial rents as such at this time. Suffice it to say, they would typically be somewhat below, as they won't be in the same locations as service garages. So that should give us some guidance as well. Moving on to the front end of the building, the showroom retail section. I actually have some excellent comparables for this aspect. We're looking at 17 different comparables here. I will run through them for you here quickly. The properties on Lorimer are shown on my page number 21, 920 through 980 Lorimer, essentially 996 Lorimer. This is located, as you can see on my page 21, to the east of Kenaston Boulevard, with IKEA and Seasons of Tuxedo being located on the west side. This is located a little bit further east, just off of Sterling Lion. And if you look at the structure itself at the top there, you can see you're essentially looking at a flex warehouse slash shopping center type development. Anytime Fitness and Ames being the tenants that you can see there. If we look at our rents in that location, we have $14.25 a square foot for a climbing gym in a 2020 lease, plus free rent. So that would drive that number down for 12,500 square feet. a spin cycle studio location. Again, wide open place, 3,000 square feet, 2016 lease, 1245. A hockey store location, 9,200 square feet, 1,350 per square foot. A tile store and warehouse of 15,000 plus square feet. 2012 lease with steps at 1225 per square foot. And a bathroom store, number 10, 996 Lorimer, Dynasty Bathrooms, 2016 lease at $12.50 a square foot. These are all done over significant terms. Now, that's what you're looking at in that location. If we move on, there's a couple on Fort White Way. I'm not going to put a lot of emphasis on those. 124 Nature Park. This is located just off of Kenaston Boulevard in that 1301 Kenaston development, actually, condominium there. The Flex warehouse office, we have an 18,000 square foot lease there in 2016 at $13.75 a square foot. So that would be built out as dominantly office space with some retail showroom. 1290 Kenaston, numbers 11 and 12. Excellent comparables as they're immediately adjacent to three other actually automotive dealerships, two of them being Birchwoods just to the north of this property, and one of them you just dealt with at 1400 Kenaston. This is a former industrial building that was redeveloped in 2015, leased in 2016, and TransCanada Brewing has been put in there for 15,000 square feet. In 2016 for $12 a square foot. They have a showroom, tasting restaurant area, and then a glassed off production area where you can see the production of the actual brewing as well behind glass. Next to that is Lux Barbecue, again, showroom retail, just under 10,000 square feet, 2016 lease at $12.50 a square foot. These are significantly superior locations to the subject property, and again, are immediately adjacent to three other dealerships that we've dealt with here. 1036 Waverly, little older leases in 2014. Again, I'm not going to put a lot of emphasis on those at $6 a square foot. And again, number 17, 96 Nature Park Way. I would again emphasize that is immediately across the road from those 1290 Kenaston locations, right across the road from the two Birchwood dealers, as well as the Mercedes that we were just dealing with. And there is a 2017 lease there at $11.95 a square foot over a 5-year term, for just under 16,000 square feet. Now, if you look at the pages following this, you can see both a map of the location and photos of the properties themselves that we're looking at. So page number 24 gives you the photos of that 1290 Kenaston location at $12 and $12.50 per square foot. And the remainder of them are there for you to see. So well located, newer, better located properties are leasing in that 11, 10, 11, 12, $13 per square foot rental rate range. So that is what we see in the marketplace. Now, if we look at the subject property, again, we have an overbuilt amount of office. It's dated in its interior. Rather than, as we don't have a breakout of the areas themselves, rather than look at this much for the mezzanine, this much for the rear service area, etc. We have an overall rate applied of $12 per square foot for the subject property as a whole, taking into account this analysis that I just run through for you. Let's move on to the expenses. The information is there for you. The Johnson Report statistics, as well as Colliers and Cushman Wakefield. I'm not going to go through it in detail. Suffice it to say, 2% is essentially no vacancy. When you're making an allowance at 2%, that would be turnover vacancy at the end of term for a tenant, essentially, where you have a small gap of time before it's leased up again in a multi-tenant situation. We have a single tenant or single occupant building. And as I went through, the stages of vacancy are when the building goes vacant, it's generally vacant for a very long time and then becomes a development site. So we've made a marginal increase to 4% to reflect an appropriate vacancy as supported by the market evidence. The expense allowance, I will not touch. We use the 7% as we've described many times to the panel members. All of the details there for you on pages 27, 28, 29. And we have deferred to the city shortfall rate of $6 per square foot. Now, moving into the non-recoverable infrastructure expense, as I mentioned at the beginning of my presentation, the property owners in Point West Auto Mall are directly responsible for these costs. So as a direct cost to the property owner that isn't faced in other locations, this would be taken into account by any purchaser for a property such as this, as it's a cost that they would bear, that they wouldn't bear in any other location. So I've laid this out for you. Unfortunately, we don't have updated figures with regard to the expenses themselves. We've given you a 4-year history going back in time, coming out to a stabilized amount of $90,000 as far as an annual expense amount for the overall annual maintenance of the infrastructure components. That's then broken down into the individual proportional share per condominium unit. And for the subject property, that amounts to $10,842, which is indicated just above that chart on page number 29. Suffice it to say, these expenses haven't gone down, they've gone up. So we are significantly underestimating what this amount is. Second component is the replacement, the future costs, net present costs of the future costs of replacing the existing infrastructure components. Study of that was done by an accredited engineering firm, and they indicated an amount of $356,064. The proportional share of that comes to just under $43,000. That's not an annual expense. It would be a one-time expense. So we're just deducting that straight off of the value, not including it in the net operating income. This is supported by the Unit 90 decision at the municipal board. And as I had mentioned, City of Winnipeg treats an identical situation at 1301 Kenniston. The Terracon development off of Kenniston in a significantly different manner, where they are directly reflecting those infrastructure costs. So we're asking for an equitable treatment and essentially the reestablishment of the recognition of these costs for the Point West Auto Park, because they always had been included prior to the last, I believe, 2 cycles. I will direct you to the addenda materials, pages A32, A33, A34, and A35. And actually, starting on A33, if you look into the valuation there. So this is taken from an appeal of 1301 Keniston in prior cycle. If you look into the valuation here, you can see that they refer directly to the non-recoverable infrastructure cost of $2,455,935. And higher up, under the expenses, before arriving at the NOI, they also refer to the non-recoverable maintenance cost of $524,114. Now, they're doing that property as a whole, so that's why the numbers are significantly larger. But you can see that these are directly reflected in the city's valuation model for that particular property. Page number 34 just emphasizes this further. You can see the non-recoverable maintenance cost and then the non-recoverable infrastructure cost further down the page, and then the location of it being shown on A35. Obviously, equity is an issue here. I've established the case for it. This supports that. The municipal board already agreed with it. It should be reinstated. So I would ask the board panel members to include that in the net operating income calculation. Let's move on to the final component here, capitalization rate. Of course, we have no arm's length transactions of dealerships to rely on in establishing cap rates. There are no arm's length rental rates out there to look at to determine them. So we need to do the next best thing and look at a model that would be fair. So we are looking at both industrial sale, investment sale transactions and retail investment sale transactions. So if we look at page number 31, these are examples of industrial investment transactions prior to the valuation date. These were purchased for the in-place income, not future potential. And you can see that our cap rates range from a low of 6.6% up to a high of 7.4%. Now, these are all typically better located, less risky property types. There are always industrial tenants that are out there looking for a space. They're all of a significant size, so we're not talking anything tiny or anything enormous here that wouldn't be comparable to the subject, and they're all in the relatively close to the time frame required as well. Moving on to page 32, you can see our retail investment transactions. We have 3 here to look at, all strip malls. Number 1, 1411 Henderson, trading at a cap rate of 8.9% in 2021. So in the COVID timeframe on Henderson Highway, there's a photo of it at the middle of page 32. Number 2, 130 Osborne, 435 Stradbrook, right at the corner of Stradbrook and Osborne. You can see the L-shaped strip mall in the photo at the bottom of page 32, transacting in 2018 at a cap rate of 7.5%. And finally, another strip mall, relatively recently built, 1800 Corridon, well located in River Heights, trading at a cap rate of 7% in 2019. So in addition to that, we have the Colliers and CB Richard Ellis cap rate ranges that they've published in their documents, indicating 6 to 6.75% and 6 to 7.25% respectively for investment grade industrial assets. And for strip centers, they're indicating 6 to 6.75 and 5.75 to 7.5%. Now, obviously, none of this refers directly to auto dealerships. So what is the difference here? Well, we have a less than ideal location. We have restrictions on use in place. We have an older property which is probably heading somewhat towards obsolescence in terms of its build out and size. And we have all of the aspects that make it non-suitable to use by other industry participants or other potential occupants. So the discussion of capitalization rate is shown on my page number 33. Taking into account the special use nature of auto dealerships and the risk involved, location and investment potential of the property, we've used a cap rate of 8% in our analysis for the subject property. 2016 board used 8.5% for Point West, and 2020 was using 8% for Point West as well. So let's move on to the summary of this on page 34. Rental rate of $12 a square foot. Again, we have a dated property, somewhat inferior to modern dealerships, as I've stated. Overbuilt office area, excess mezzanine. Marginal increase to the vacancy rate to reflect what market vacancy might be. Certainly on the low end of what it should be at 4%. Expense allowance, we've all heard. Shortfall, we're not disagreeing with. We have included the annual maintenance cost for infrastructure at $10,842 as described, arriving at an NOI of $344,831. Capitalized at 8% gives us a value of $4,310,387, from which we deduct the future infrastructure costs as shown, just under $43,000, giving us a final rounded value of $4,267,000. Now, keep in mind, the site is also not big enough, and they do need to have off-site location for vehicle storage. Looking into the addenda, what I have provided for you are decisions that I was directly involved with on other auto dealers in the current assessment cycle. These are based directly on my valuations of the property with regard to the net operating income. And you can see that I used between $12 and $13 per square foot. $13 was used on brand new construction dealerships such as 1310, 1310 Regent, 180 and 200 Lowson, which are just off of Kenniston. And the older dealerships were either at $12 or $12.50 per square foot. And the capitalization rate that the board was using was generally 7.25% or 7.5% in these decisions. So that's all shown for you in the decisions as we move through those. Some of them are from 2022 as well, as you can see. And finally, we have a fair tax realty decision as well for Unit A in 1700 Waverly, the Waverly Auto Park, which was based on the evidence presented by the applicant, which was a rental rate of $12.50 a square foot and a cap rate of 7.5%. So the remainder of the addenda, I won't get into it. It's simply backup with regard to the state of automotive dealerships in the market and the future of the automotive industry as a whole, and what they're essentially calling the death of dealerships, or the less of a need for bricks and mortar. It's there for you to review if you wish. And I am open for questions.
Thank you very much, Mr. Spacek.
I have no questions. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Mr. Mann.
No questions, thank you.
Mr. McIntyre?
I have no questions, thank you.
Thank you. Nor do I. Is there a need for summary from either party?
No, thank you.
No, thank you.
Thank you very much. So that concludes this matter. And we have heard all the items scheduled, and this hearing is now adjourned. Good afternoon, everybody.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good day.
Thank you, everyone.